We're live. Oh,
Live from New York, it's a disappointing show.
and Sherry O'Terry.
I don't even know any of the SNL people anymore, but that just sounds, if that's not real, it sounds real.
What?
Sherry O'Terry.
No, that is real.
Oh, jeez.
Give it up for Kenan Thompson, still unfunny after 17 years.
He's remaking Good Burger.
Fuck my ass.
How much you want to bet? Because Good Burger's gonna get remade.
Oh God, I don't even want to think about it. This is not a Kenan Thompson. Suck a dick from me personally. I hope I don't work with you. You won't add to anything. Anyways,
hold on. I'm not done yet talking about Good Burger, motherfucker.
No, you are as far as I'm concerned.
No, because what it is Good Burger will get remade, but then he'll be the teacher, that's car gets wrecked.
See, this I don't even.
And that way it's a call out to the fans.
Oh, Jesus.
The Good Burger fan base.
Speaking of fans, let's talk briefly, or not briefly, however fucking long we want to talk about, Comic-Con, the ultimate nerd fan fest that just got finished.
The ultimate nerd commercial that just got finished.
Yeah, exactly. The nerd extravaganza only matched by PlayStation advertising.
Which that's the best part is it's like Comic-Con is still trying to be like, yeah, we're the nerd convention. And it's like, go wait for 12 hours to see a commercial that is going to be on YouTube before you actually get into the theater.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, they're like, do you want to pay to see a trailer you'll see soon? Could just wait a week, but we need to talk about Shazam on Wednesday, not Thursday. So anyways, Comic-Con just happened. The one thing that I heard specifically, and I think it sort of relates to Comic-Con, is Andrew Lincoln supposedly confirmed at Comic-Con that this was indeed his last season of The Walking Dead. And that is indeed depressing, although he keeps saying, like, my relationship with Rick Grimes is far from over. And you're like, oh, okay. What does that mean? It's going to be in your tender heart for forever? Or does that just mean you're going to make a Walking Dead movie? I don't know what that means.
He's going to be in, like, flashbacks. Every time he needs to buy a boat or a car, Rick Grimes is going to show up for a flashback.
Yeah, well, I hope that's not the case because they've tried that with some other people. And I think this last season, season 8, had some of the dumbest little flashbacks / I don't even know what you would call it. I guess you would, in a script, I think it would come across like a theatrical aside where a character is talking to a ghost, but in this world, ghosts don't exist. So he's just sort of talking to a half-broken memory on a fever dream. Like, it's really fucking weird. I don't even know what you'd call it.
Rick Grimes is going to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Honestly, if that was the case, I would go and see the movie. I think Andrew Lincoln would make a great Obi-Wan. I said that to
Carl, you must go to the Dagobah system.
Just like, Carl, Millennium Falcon's the only ship to make the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. I'm not Obi-Wan. I'm Han Solo. Never mind. I forgot. That's not a Obi-Wan line. I don't care anymore. Anyway,
ever since Solo, David just couldn't care anymore.
I can't. Someone tried talking to me about it the other day, and they go, "What'd you think?" And I just go, "Fuck you." Like, who cares what I fucking thought? I thought the character was fine until we decided to make a standalone film, no joke, called Solo. I mean, that's like titling the Obi-Wan standalone film as Obi-Wan : subtext, the standalone film. It doesn't make any fucking sense. There's no point to it. And what are they going to do? You're going to make a movie about Obi-Wan, and nothing of importance could have happened in the 17 years that we haven't seen or heard from him because he never mentions it ever.
David, that's where they're going to insert the Darth Maul Obi-Wan rivalry subplot that we all knew existed.
Well, as much as I want to see Darth Maul with a robot bottom half, and like 8 lightsabers, like each of the bottom legs has a lightsaber sticking out from it. I just think it's going to be a flop before it even starts. But anyways, at Comic-Con, Alec, what were you possibly looking forward to hearing about and or seeing from Comic-Con this past year?
There was nothing I was looking forward to. I'm not going to lie. Because it's like, what does Comic-Con mean? Nothing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is just like a sequence of panels. Like they sort of do this with like a lot of, I think, ABC, NBC shows. They used to have these Paley Center interviews, right? Where they would sit down in front of a blue curtain and kind of just talk about like funny stories and things about the show of past seasons and say how much they're looking forward to next season. But since they were shows that had no real drama, they were usually comedies, they were able to give away a lot more information. But at Comic-Con, it's all about what they can't say.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
It's just pre-approved commercials,
Yeah, but it's like, why even go if the whole point is they can't tell you anything? It's the same thing as like when Game of Thrones characters talk on like an interview show and they're like, so what happens next season? They're like, I really can't say. And then they're like, okay. And then they don't press the question or anything. And it's like, yeah, what did you expect them to do? Give away the whole fucking plot for free? That's like the one thing an actor's paid not to do, is to not give out spoilers to their own show. And yet people somehow pay $185 for a weekend pass to go to Comic-Con and stand in a line that goes for like a mile just to get in to take a picture or to buy a CD from the guy who plays Chewbacca himself. Like
here's that guy who plays Chewbacca who keeps insisting on playing Chewbacca.
He keeps selling me copies of the Star Wars Holiday Special.
It's the only one he got royalties on.
Yeah, it's the only one he was the star of.
He wasn't even the star. It was the weird kid Chewbacca.
Oh, Itchy?
Itchy, Scratchy, who gives a crap.
There's no Scratchy. There's a Lumpy, though.
There's a who Lumpy gives it.
And Poochie.
Poochie?
There is a Poochie. So there's Lumpy, Poochie, and Stinky and Smell.
And box office returns. It's Lumpy, Poochie, and box office returns.
Slot machines. Let me tell you about them. Read your slot machines, please.
4, 5. Let's go. Let's get it. Whatever. Let's get it. I lost.
Be sure to max spend on these machines because you could theoretically hit 1,000 respins.
So speaking of losing,
yeah,
we were bestowed with a great trailer, and it was a trailer for Godzilla. You might think to yourself,
the monsters.
Godzilla, Alec, is Godzilla. That's that really stupid. Those are those series that are kind of stupid, right? And I would say yes, they are. And that's the end. No, it's just like, I don't know why. Like what? Who? What? Or no, I do know why. People got tricked, and they think that Godzilla was like ever good.
Yeah.
So now it's like, oh, well, now we got to have all the monsters, all the classic monsters from Godzilla. And I'm like, you didn't need those. They're all dumb. Godzilla's dumb. I like Godzilla, and I'm still like Godzilla's dumb.
Hey, we did get a little Charles Dance cameo though, which they literally brought him on and had the only line that was Game of Thrones-esque for him to say.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's like Charles Dance is just like going to be Tywin Lannister for the rest of his goddamn life. Because no one will
at this very moment, Godzilla.
No, he says, "All hail the king," and it's like Charles, you could have said no to this one.
You didn't have.
You really didn't have to say yes. You know, you could have just been like, no. You know what? I'm a dignified British actor. I was in one of the most successful series that's ever been made. I'm not going to come to your Godzilla movie and say, "All hail the king," and then, run off.
And you know what's great, Alec, is in the next scene when Godzilla like roars and shoots fire up into the sky. This is an extended trailer that only I saw. He says, "Any monster that says he's the king is no true king." And then Godzilla just launches fire and rains hellfire down on King's Landing.
Charles Dance is like gutting a giant killer monster over a table. Godzilla has taken one of our own with impunity.
If we allow him to take one of our own with impunity, we are no longer a monster to be feared.
But no, that was the best. Like in that trailer, it's like, oh, Godzilla's gonna fight all the famous monsters you've heard of, and I'm like, yeah, but like one of them's Rodan, which is just a giant pterodactyl, which is retarded.
That's true.
It's just a giant, and then the other one is Mothra, which is a giant moth, which is equally stupid. And of course, the whole thing is, it's like, I really wish, just so people will finally understand, that Godzilla is supposed to be dumb.
Yeah, like, it's meant to be schlock. It's meant to be the guy in the rubber suit in the miniature city taking stomps and crushing buildings.
Yeah,
even people who are clearly in Japan going like, "Oh, not sky, oh, no, Godzilla," like.
Well, and also even the best Godzilla movie in recent years, which is Shin Godzilla, even that one is still it's still a dumb movie. Godzilla's still a dumb. It's still a dumb movie about a giant monster stomping around.
About a giant monster what? I think you cut out there for a second.
A giant monster stomping around.
Yeah, my biggest thing is, honestly, I saw this trailer and the first thought I had was, I am sick and tired of Ken Watanabe.
What are you talking about? He's the hero we deserve. Let them fight and all that crap.
Filled with regret.
I remember you got so mad about Ken Watanabe bot and Transformers 4.
Oh, get fucked.
I love that, dude. That's still like the magic of Ken Watanabe for me, is that you hate him in that movie.
I hate him in a lot of movies. I think he's way overused, and they never put him in the right role. He can be good. Like, of course he can be good. I think he might even be like Oscar nominated. I don't even remember, but I know he's won a lot of awards, and he's been acting since he was like in utero. But I'm just sick of his stupid face inside the little helmet, like looking around, like clearly like Godzilla's lair or whatever. It's like he looks like he's in the movie Alien Covenant, and they just cut it out of that and put it in this.
Yeah, what's even better is that this movie, I already know. You know what the end credit scene is going to be?
Captain Marvel?
No, it's going to be the setup. Because the movie after this is Godzilla versus King Kong.
Oh, fuck off.
And the King Kong that they're using is the one from the Kong Skull Island that came out last year.
I might be willing to see that. However, that is going to be a movie that these are movies that Alec and I will end up watching, like, in a theater with only 3 people, and ideally it would just be you, me, and Kyle, and we would just get to sit there and react to it in real time. Because that's when Alec, Kyle, and I have had our best movie-going experiences, when the 3 of us just get to go. It's just us 3. Nobody's in there, and we can basically just yell at the movie like movie critics, like the Muppet, movie critics. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, what are they doing over there? Oh, yay! Like, but I don't know, man.
Sometimes I want Godzilla to come. Oh, yeah? Where do you want him to come? To smash the production of the next Godzilla movie. Oh!
I thought you were going to go way more dark with that. Where do you want him to come? On my face!
How dare you sully the good name of the hecklers from the Muppets?
Quite literally sully.
Yeah. They're the heroes we deserve.
But not the ones we need right now. So
that's why we hunt them.
Because they know we have to chase them.
And then I just imagine 2 old Muppets being chased by dogs at the end of The Dark Knight.
As they go on a little bat pod up the ramp.
Yep. Little motorcycle.
A silent puppet. A dark string. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Honestly,
the next movie begins. The next movie begins with a Muppet Bane taking a plane.
It's just it's like the Marley and Marley, but with just a Bane mask on. Oh!
He's wondering why you would shoot a puppet with your hands still inside.
That is the best line ever for a parody, Alec, I think you've ever said. Why would you shoot a puppet with your hands still inside?
A lot of loyalty for a hired Henson.
A lot of loyalty for Frank Oz. Oh,
who is Jim Henson? Why does he make the puppets?
All of a sudden, the Muppet turns to the camera and goes, Martha, why did you say that name?
Why did you say that name? Well, Batman, it's not easy being Superman.
Ooh.
Sometimes we'll find the super connection. But yeah, they're doing Godzilla again, and it warms the cockles of my heart.
Yeah, just when Alec thought, like, there's nothing that can crack through this hollow tin chest of ours, then that we are graced with that. And I'll say this, it was a great trailer. I love that the girl from who plays 11 in Stranger Things is the main girl.
Do you love that, or do you hate it?
She's actually a really great actress, so it gives me hope that they have some more common sense.
No, they don't. This is a Godzilla movie.
But knowing this, they'll pull a fucking Bryan Cranston and kill her in the first 3 minutes. And then
they will kill her in the first 25 seconds.
Like that shot you see in the trailer is like, that's all that she does. Like that might be all she does.
Like she's like, it's like in what is it? What are those movies by? Like Day After Tomorrow or something.
Yeah. No, it's going to be, Alec, even better. It's going to be like Independence Day 2, Electric Boogaloo, where Vivica A. Fox went from hooker to doctor, and then she saves one rando lady and like throws her baby up into a hovering helicopter, and then the building collapses underneath her feet.
No, you're misremembering that. She throws the baby into the laser. And the baby's like, hello, boys, I'm back. And then that's how the movie ends. I remember, I was there.
Hello, boys, I'm back.
Exactly, dude. Now you're remembering it, right?
Yeah. Oh my god. That's such a great retarded image. I want that to happen so bad. But what else happened at this Comic-Con? It had to be other than The Walking Dead and Godzilla, but this felt
Well,
like
there was Shazam.
oh, of course. Thank you for bringing that up. Now,
You're welcome.
who aren't in the know, I'm sure
Are you
you
in the know?
are you aware? But can you inform our 5 listeners that like what the backstory or the origin story that you know off the cuff of Shazam?
So here's the deal. Shazam was originally Captain Marvel for a long time. And it was mostly because, Marvel Comics and DC don't like each other.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, the whole storyline of Shazam is he, sorry, he is a kid who a wizard named Shazam says, "Hey, kid, I think you would make a great superhero," and so he gives him powers, and he's just Magic Superman. He's got all the powers of Superman plus magic. So Superman is weak to him. Because
Wow.
Superman's weakness is magic.
Well, there you go. That'll be fun to see them fuck incorporating that up. So, anyways, so continue, please.
Yeah, so the kid can become a superhero. And so with the trailer, essentially what they're going for is they're making it, like, from my opinion, it seems like they're making it like Deadpool, where it's like, hey, we're gonna make a movie that's really cheap, We're not gonna spend a lot of money on it, and instead we're gonna make it a comedy.
Yeah, I'm getting feelings of that. I'm getting some feelings of Ant-Man.
Yeah, exactly. But it's that same kind of thing of like, we're not spending a bunch of money on this thing.
Yeah, because I mean, well, honestly, I mean that's smarter. They'll probably make more money that way because they're not going to have put their studio in debt. And I'm pretty sure this actor was willing to shave his fucking mustache. So, I think it'll be okay. But from what I saw in the trailer, I mean, it looks like the main actor is he's the guy who starred in the show Chuck a few years back. And I mean, I'll say this. It looks like he's having fun. I think the costume looks kind of retarded. It looks too glowy, like too bright. Maybe I've just been conditioned by the Zack Snyderization of DC movies, but even Marvel movies don't have like Iron Man glowing and red neon. You know what I mean? Like he looks like Vision from Marvel, but even brighter.
Yeah.
Well,
I think one of the benefits with doing Shazam is that this is the best version of Shazam, which is a 10-year-old kid in the body of a grown man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. This seems like a really good DC movie to take because he is DC, right?
Yes.
I mean, it is a different approach. If they have no intent of bringing him into some kind of like trilogy, I think it's great. I think it's great if it's a completely standalone thing. If they don't try to franchise it, they just make it kind of one and done. That would be great. I think there's too many movies that they keep trying to find a way to incorporate them after a standalone movie into the main fray.
Yeah. Well, from the trailer, if I'm not mistaken, the trailer just said DC Universe. And I think what that is like DC, they decided like they're not going to link their movies anymore.
Yeah, I think you might be right. After the Justice League, regardless of quote unquote how much money it made. That movie, and I wanted to talk about this as well later in this stream. We'll get into it. That movie sucked, like really, really bad, and it ruined multiple characters at the same time, and it just fell flat on its fucking face. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. As far as Shazam goes, if you were to give kind of a general prediction of how it will be received, how do you think it'll go?
I think if they just make it like a lighthearted comedy, like Deadpool, except without like the more adult stuff in it, I think it'll do fine. Because that's kind of the thing is like Shazam works when it's like, oh, Billy Batson is a 10-year-old kid in a giant grown man's body. Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind. I think some of it, like you said, it looked a little cheap in times. Like I like the part where he comes out of a gas station and he goes like, "Hey, what's up? I'm a superhero." Like just really hamming it up and kind of chewing the scenery. The part where they're like talking to, they show the montage of him flying. I heard somebody say, well, I don't even care about censoring who said it. Jack Packard from Red Letter Media on his thing previously recorded. I told you I've been punishing myself with that lately, and he used one of the worst ways to describe that scene.
Yeah,
I agree with him, but I still hate how he worded it. He said it was absolutely adorable.
Yeah,
and I go, that's just, as an adult, I'm just kind of. It's weird. I kind of do have these sort of standards where I go, you're not supposed to say a movie as an adult is adorable. Unless if it's like a kid's movie that you went to go see with your kids.
Yeah.
Like if you went to go see Up, you go, oh, that's so sweet. Or it was so cute, but adorable.
Yeah, but it's like Justice, like Shazam. It's like, oh, it's adorable. It's like, not the term I would use.
Yeah, and it was talking about the part where he's like punching through walls and trying to fly and falling. He's like, that was just adorable. And I'm like, oh, get fucked. Like, I really hate that description. It's so bad. But anyways, to ask myself the same question that I asked you, I think it could do well. I think it would also, it might barely make its money back. Like, let's say if they spent $75 million on it, I think it might make $90 million. I don't think it's going to do all that great. I think internationally, it might do okay just because people internationally like weird shit. And a lot of people are going to go, who the fuck is Shazam? I think a lot of people mix it up and they're like, you mean the Shaquille O'Neal movie?
I would love if that was the case. Like, is this a sequel to the Shaquille O'Neal movie?
Honestly, I mean, what was his? His was Kazam, wasn't it?
I don't even remember.
I'm going to look it up. I'm pretty sure it was Kazam.
You're
So
probably right.
And Kazam. And here, I'm going to look it up.
It was Space Jam. That was the
1996. Yeah, Trouble Kid inadvertently releases a genie who must grant him any 3 wishes he requests. Shazam. Or sorry, Kazam. Shazam is the new one. Kazam is the old one. I guarantee you somebody was confused and thought like, oh, they recast it with a white actor.
100%. Oh my god, wouldn't that have been magical if someone had started one of those Twitter stupid petitions that was like, they're whitewashing the Shaquille O'Neal classic.
Shaquille O'Neal's still in decent shape, and he's even more eloquent than ever. You should have him reprise his role as Kazam. Like, this is Shazam. I know you're trying to change the movie so you think we don't know what the fuck you're doing, but we do.
We have 10,000 signatures on Twitter.
I have altered the deal. So, in the DC-related fandom, The Aquaman trailer also
Oh
dropped.
Jesus, that thing looks.
Looks.
Oh, it looks like a movie from 2002.
Do you remember when I played that song like "Don't Write Yourself Off Yet"? Like the middle.
Yeah.
Because we were watching. Do you remember why we had that sort of inside joke? It was from a fan trailer that somebody had made in the early 2000s about Aquaman.
Yeah.
And it was like some beach movie, and then they just edited a movie where they showed like a guy swimming really fast through the water, and they like sped it up to make it look like it. And they took bits from like not Sharknado, but the one that has Piranha. They took scenes from Piranha, like Piranha 3D. It's
Oh
like
jeez.
they use like surfer dudes. They do the same thing every time. Like the fan film, I used to think like there's no way if they made an Aquaman they would have him be such a dude bro. Like,
But
oh
then they
man, let's
did.
fucking go kill some waves. You know, like
Wavy gravy, man.
I swear I left the hair at home. Uh, but like there's a part where somebody in the comments section of the trailer, they're like the person I hate because they love the thing that I hate. There's a part where I think it's Aquaman himself or somebody that he is on his side, and they're riding an alligator like in the ocean, and the alligator
Oh
has like
no, it's the dinosaur from Jurassic World.
like the big swimmy thing
Yeah,
at the very
that's
beginning.
yeah. Remember that movie that I made you go see?
Yeah, I remember.
David, do you remember that scene where a giant swimmy dinosaur ate a guy?
I'm still in therapy over it to this day, so I'm pretty sure I do.
Wasn't that the greatest movie ever?
I mean, it was. Having said that, it doesn't hold a candle to this Aquaman trailer. Um, I've got to say, even though they have used Jason Momoa, and I'm glad he's a working actor. He was good in Game of Thrones for the role that he did. However, I think they are giving this guy way too much acting credibility. I think he could be like The Rock a little bit, where he could be in a movie with Kevin Hart and kind of be the funny buff dude, you know, and or kind of as the Abbott to a Costello, you know what I mean? But I don't think they should be using him for these superhero movies that much. Other than being buff, I don't think he brings anything to the role. I don't think anybody really cares because him getting that role and him getting his solo movie was completely based off of that initial picture we saw with him with the trident and the tattoos and shit.
Yeah.
People go, that's going to sell. That guy looks sexy as fuck as Aquaman. That's going to sell. And then they go, now how can we build a fucking retarded movie around that hot dude? And how can we have him wet all the time? Well, he's Aquaman. Perfect.
Genius.
We'll have him blow through the lid of a submarine, poking a hole in it to where it can no longer go back underwater. And then he looks over his shoulder at some dudes with his shirt off and goes, can I come aboard?
And he says, wavy gravy, man.
That seemed like a gay porno entrance, like a really expensive gay porno where like there's like two soldier dudes and they're like, what was that sound? I don't know, better get our big thick guns out. And then all of a sudden Aquaman blows through with his shirt off and goes,
Permission to board, Seaman.
Yeah, can I come aboard, you seaman? And then they're just like, oh no, I hope he doesn't take us down to the riptide. Whoa. And then like, I don't know. You know, it's weird. I think that movie is going to be solely paid for by women and gay guys. Sort of like a Magic Mike of superhero movies. Where I don't feel like a lot of comic book fans are going to go see it.
Yeah, you were probably right.
Well, it's like if you see Batman, there's like people from, 35, 40 years swath who are fans of Batman and know what the premise or the origin story is, even if they haven't seen all the movies.
Yeah.
Because it's been around since 1938. You know, as a comic book and as a million TV shows and now dozens of movies. And Superman, same goes, even earlier than that. And but like Arthur Curry, A, stupid name, B, stupid comic book, guy who talks to fish. And also, it looks like they tried to blend live action people into Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Dude, that's what I mean. It looks like it's from a movie like from decades ago, from like a decade ago.
Yeah, like it looks like Piranha 3D. Like Piranha 3D took a page from this movie. I'm not looking forward to seeing it. I thought he was one of the worst parts of the Justice League movie, and since we're kind of working our way towards that, once we're done briefly talking about Aquaman, we'll get into our kind of long-awaiting review of the Justice League. I know I've talked about it. I know Alec and I have ranted about it, but we never really officially did a video of us discussing it for the channel. And I just thought we'd do that because I've had a chance to go revisit a lot of those scenes on YouTube. So much of it has been leaked. Director's cut stuff, a lot of stuff going on there. So we're going to get into it. So in my opinion, I think that Aquaman movie, I think it'll make its money back for sure because of domestic sales.
Well, because they spent like 28 cents on it.
They have what?
They spent like 28 cents on it, you know? So, of course, they're going to make their money back.
Yeah, it's... yeah, I think that's true. I think they're saving a lot of it. Honestly, Aquaman would be way better if you just did it completely animated. Or completely CG.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's just kind of funny. It's like they're halfway there. It's already looks like a cartoon almost.
Yeah, but even the scenes when they're like underwater in this one, because they clearly heard about the discrepancies people had with the Justice League movies and Batman v Superman.
Yeah. Now they don't look like they're in anything.
Yeah, they shot it dry for wet, which is where they shoot it in a studio, and sometimes they have people like having multiple fans like blowing their hair from every direction, so it looks like the water's waving it.
Yeah, and then they pay a CGI artist like an ungodly amount of money to make it look decent.
Yeah, and remove all the bubbles from his hair and make sure that there's no bubbles coming out of his mouth, and it's fucking dumb. Anyways, just because I can't even stand it anymore. My brain's about to pop. This vessel in my forehead. The Justice League. Now, when did we see this? Did we see it right after it came out, or did we see it the premiere?
We saw it like the weekend after because we hate crowds.
Yeah, we do hate crowds because, I mean, crowds at movie theaters in general, we can talk about this briefly, they just suck. And they've gotten worse because now that people have gotten so used to having Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and all this streaming options, they have since forgotten all of their manners because they can usually, have their hand down their pants while they're fucking watching at home and be as loud as they fucking want, be walking around and running errands and cooking food during the movie. And then somebody like dragged them on a date or they took their kids to have the full IMAX experience and ruin it for everybody.
Yeah.
I think Alec and I, we've both yelled at people behind us. We've both banged on the back of chairs and gone like, you done eating that? Like we did it in one movie like not too long ago.
Yeah.
Where we both like, are you done? Have you finished licking the bag over there, pal? And you're like, yeah, you done? Like we were both just like, good for you. Thanks. Like, way to ruin it for everybody. Couldn't hear what they were saying for like 5 minutes because of you. Remember John Wick? John Wick 2?
Remember John Wick? No, someone was eating a bag the whole way through. I didn't even see it.
You mean potato chip bag too? I brought this from home 3. Um, when we saw like John Wick 2, I mean, there was a guy right next to me that was like infuriating me because there's a scene in John Wick 2 where he gets like stabbed in the chest, and of course it's like a reveal that it stabbed his phone, right? They've done this in a million movies. Oh, luckily I put my trusty hotel Bible over my chest. Got shot right in the hotel Bible, or got stabbed right in the whole hotel Bible. And instead in this one, it's a phone. And the guy next to me goes like, he got stabbed in the phone. Oh no. And then continued to eat really loudly. And he goes like, that looks like it hurt. Like, it's a fight scene. Of course it looks like it fucking hurt. He just killed the guy with a pencil.
It's like, he got stabbed in the phone. It's like, you're about to be stabbed with a phone.
You're about to experience exactly what he just did without the benefit of movie magic. So,
I hope your phone's ready.
Hope you got your shitting pants on. Sorry, I had to say it. So, the Justice League. Right off the bat, Alec and I, when we were seeing this, we both openly recoiled in the first 45 seconds. And Alec, do you remember the first 45 seconds of this movie?
Oh yeah, it was footage of kids filming Superman on their iPhone.
Yeah. And they're filming him at the scene of some accident or crime. And he does a little turn over the shoulder, like, oh, I didn't see you there. And looks into the phone, and they're interviewing him. And what was the first thing you noticed, Alec?
How much I hate children in movies.
Yep, see, that's Alec's take. Mine was the fact that he looked like he was suffering from a bad case of cerebral palsy.
From a bad case of digital lip.
A lot of people, Joaquin Phoenix has made a whole career and look off of his cleft palate lip little quiver that he had. It helped him be Johnny Cash all the better. He looked interesting as Julius Caesar in The Gladiator.
No, he was Commodus. Commodus.
Oh yes.
I listened to an entire 100+ episode podcast about the history of Rome.
Oh well, let's not. We could go off on that, but I will say this: Henry Cavill has a normal fucking face. Now, why they didn't just bother to completely CGI his entire head on his body, which they can do and they have done in countless things, and it looks fine. Or at least passable. Or they could have at least made the footage, put more smoke in front of his face so you couldn't really tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything, and it literally, the entire right corner of his mouth, our left of his mouth, it looks like somebody took the smudge tool on Photoshop and smeared from his right cheek towards his mouth. And it looks like he's missing teeth, for one, because they smeared it so badly that they couldn't add detail to it without it looking weird. So it looks like he just has half of his teeth missing. And what drives me nuts, is that everyday audiences, several people told me they didn't fucking notice. Can you believe that?
I can, because a lot of times people don't, they're not looking at a movie as much of just absorbing the general image. But then if they were to watch it a second time, they would see it. That's kind of why nowadays you see so many movies, they'll fix stuff after the fact on the Blu-ray.
I
Remember, like the floating head in the Hobbit Battle of Five Armies,
oh yeah.
and how it was like in the DVD release they fixed it all.
Yeah, but it's so well, I mean, we're gonna get into it. It's so expansive in this movie. The cost, based on what they already spent, $50 million, would be so immense to fix it that I don't think they're gonna do it. And I think they're too focused on the director's cut or whatever crap.
If that's even a thing, we don't even know.
People claim it's a thing. You know, Henry Cavill himself said it's not gonna change anything. Imagine that. Imagine the guy who's in it who should want you to see it because there's a lot more deleted scenes with him in it. He just goes, "It's not going to change anything." I think that's his way of saying that the movie sucks no matter what.
Yeah.
So quit shitting on it because it's just going to get old. But not for us. We're going to continue shitting on it. So after that first 45 seconds of just horrific, just ball retractingly horrible CGI on his face. Do you remember where we went next in the movie?
Oh yeah, then it was like some song accompanied by sad music of homeless people.
Yeah, it was Everybody Knows. It was a female cover of Everybody Knows, which, what's weird, I don't mind it. I can see that he was going for kind of a Watchmen sort of feel, with like the times they are a changing, having the funeral scene and the rain slowly falling off a person's hat and everything. But this looked like a parody version of it.
Yeah.
Like,
it looked like what a student filmmaker would do after seeing that scene in Watchmen.
100%. Completely agree. Because, like, there's a scene, like in the Watchmen, it's showing, like, these crusaders getting murdered or hanged, or it says lesbian horror, and there's two dead lesbians on a bed and, like, under a pentagram and all this fucking stuff.
Because the imagery is like interesting. It's because you don't know anything about these characters, so it's like all interesting imagery.
Yeah, it's all leaving your mind to establish what happened, and you can clearly see what did happen based on the imagery that's before you. But in this movie, I'm not even kidding. I don't know if you remember the shot, Alec, but when the music goes ba-na, ba-na, the shot that they show is of a criminal, quote unquote. He's not committing a crime. He's yelling at a lady, and then he kicks a basket of oranges into the air.
Oh yeah, I remember that silliness.
That is the intensity that we're dealing with. We have in the Watchmen dead lesbians underneath the pentagram with lesbian whores written on it, and Rorschach's mother getting raped. And in this movie, their version of dark is the fucking oranges are on the loose.
Someone was mean to an old lady.
And it wasn't even in her hand. There were just some oranges laying around. It's like if it cut to a shot of them at a pumpkin patch and he just started stomping on pumpkins. It would have been the exact same effect.
Yeah, it's like, what a scoundrel.
Yeah, you scamp. How dare you? You know how much the audience loves fucking oranges.
This is to really emotionally grip the Hispanic audience. Which that's the level of cynicism I see with scenes like that. It's like, who is this for? You had to have had some belief that this was like some demographic would be moved by this.
Yeah, I don't know what the orange is flying around was meant to be there. And I'm sure some douchebag on set's like, it symbolizes that the fruit of life is now getting destroyed. It's like, shut the fuck up.
It symbolizes the death caused by capitalism.
Yeah, just like our love for this country is rotting on the vine.
Like Donald Trump.
Get it? Orange. Also, then we move on to, if I remember right, it cuts to a scene of Batman fighting random goon from Fight Club on a rooftop.
No, oh yeah, you're right. He's fighting, like, he's chasing some guy. And
Yeah,
then that's when the monster like appears.
yeah. And what were the monsters called again?
Parademons.
Parademons. I was gonna say Doof Warrior. Um,
That's
so
from a better movie, sir.
yeah, well, I was gonna say Batman fights off the Doof Warrior.
I mean, that would be a better fucking movie. The blind guy from Mad Max versus Batman.
Take your notes in Justice League 3 game.
Oh my god. Don't even talk about sequels.
But what's that? So he's fighting Joe Schmo, not Joe Chill, Joe Schmo, and he's like punching him in the face, and they're having a normal conversation where he's just like, "What are you, some kind of Batman? What are you hitting me for, Batman?" And then Batman's like, "You're going down, punk."
Batman's like, my name is Mitchell.
Why
Does everybody call me Batman?
This disguise is not supposed to be that of a bat? I don't know why everybody says that.
Obviously an owl. Obviously.
Honestly, that would be funnier if Batman. That would be one funny joke in the movie. It's like, I don't get why I have a cowl because I'm an owl, not a bat.
Cowl, owl.
Cowl, owl, get it, you fucker.
I want Batman to call the commissioner going to fucker.
Listen, he brought the war to us, fucker.
If there's even 1% chance he doesn't understand that I am an owl, then we must treat him as an enemy.
We must shut that fucker down. Honestly, I would love a movie where Batman just calls people fuckers the whole time. But Parademon comes down, Criminal gets away.
And Alfred's like, Master Bruce, I don't think that's a human.
Yeah, but he's also shouting Alfred, like out loud to where the Criminal can hear that it's clearly Bruce Wayne talking to his butler, Alfred. He's going like, Alfred, tell me what I'm looking at. And he's like, hey, Master Wayne, you're looking at a parademon. I researched that on the Google machine, and he's like, all right, I'm going to punch it. And then he just punches it, and then it explodes into fire, and it leaves behind, like, radiation shadow of 3 boxes.
It leaves behind the script.
Yeah, it seriously does. It leaves behind the second act of the movie. So,
is that the script right there?
It leaves behind pages 3 through 78. Anyways, moving on. And I don't remember what happens exactly after that. Like, after he fights the Parademon, doesn't he just go and meet up with, like, Wonder Woman and just starts, like, chatting them up?
Yeah, they just start talking about, like, whatever.
Like, yeah, I was fighting a Parademon.
And she's like, what's that? And he's like, never mind.
He's like, I don't want to. Sorry.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It reminds me of my parents.
My parents are killed by a parademon.
My parents are dead like a parademon.
Dead like that parademon. My parents, when they died, left behind the same 3 boxes. Connection?
What does it mean? Is its mother Martha too?
I could certainly go for a mother box right now.
Is that parademon's mother named Martha? How many people's mothers are named Martha?
You killed my mother box. You killed my father box.
Where's Martha?
You killed my parents box.
You killed my parent box.
You shattered my box. So they are they literally have a discussion like, yeah, I fought a parademon and it left some boxes on the wall. And she's like, oh, it must be the mother boxes. He's like, what are those?
Oh, this thing that I've known about the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't think it would come up.
But, when I was growing up on Themyscira, I went to the ancient archives and I read the script to this movie.
When you were growing up on Mascara, you read the script of this movie?
Yes, on Mascara.
That's what I when I first heard her say it, I said, that's crazy. So they're trying to incorporate mascara into the mythos. And she's like, Themyscira. And I was like, the mascara.
And you're like Themyscira, mascara. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah. Call me Caitlin.
That was a good. God damn it! That was a good joke. That was a good fucking joke.
Quality stuff. But then what happens? I mean, is this when Bruce starts going on his like, I need to assemble a team? And so he starts like searching individually for like Aquaman and the Flash, and
searching is a strong word because he kind of already knows where they are.
Yeah, well, he goes up to the top of a mountain and then looks down at a village because apparently he couldn't have just sailed in a boat up on the shore and then gotten out right there and be 50 feet from the bar that he needs to go to. Because apparently when you go on these missions, you have to be real secretive, even though they are openly talking about in public about how you're the Aquaman. You're the Aquaman. And he's like, and you're the Batman. And I guess we're just going to let these Icelanders just know that, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, don't they openly say it in front of each other? Like, I think he slams Batman up against the wall and he goes, you're Arthur Curry. I hear you talk to fish. And he's like, sometimes. And then
I heard you're Batman. I heard you talk to fish. Sometimes.
Sometimes. When nobody's around, totally you can talk to fish. And then it just like smash cuts to them outside, and Aquaman just like walks towards the water, and he takes off his shirt because, and then Batman's like, sure you don't want to join? And Aquaman's like, man, I'm all about the waves, and then just like falls back into the water in bad CGI splash, and then he just disappears. And then Batman goes, damn it. And then presumably, I guess he had to mountain climb back up the mountain back to where he first was looking down at that village.
Yeah. No, he had to go all the way back.
Yeah, I mean, but he just threw a grappling hook. You know what I mean? He just went out for it. Brought my grappling hook. He's like, oh, Master Wayne, I only packed one. He's like, it only goes up 50 feet. How am I supposed to get up there? Improvise, Master Wayne. You're very smart. I'm sure you can figure it out. You are the best.
I'm sure you can do it.
I'm sure. Then one of the worst characters.
Oh, okay. Hold on. We forgot something. We forgot the only semi-decent thing of the movie was before Batman goes to find Aquaman, Steppenwolf shows up and takes the mother box from the Amazons.
Oh, like, super easy. Yeah. Let's not skip over that. You're right. I mean, you kind of just summarized it right there, but
I mean, it's worth talking about. It's the only decent thing in the movie.
Yeah, the Amazonians, like the Amazons,
yeah.
They're like total fucking badasses. I mean, they're like Alec and I's like fucking dream women. They're women who fire crossbows and have swords on horseback and wear warrior princess clothing. You're like, this is fucking awesome. And they're like,
all I've ever wanted.
This is what Donald Glover's This Is America is about. So they're like firing these crossbows, doing all this insane shit. And they're really giving Steppenwolf kind of a fair fight. And then I forget what happens. Does he kill them all, or does he just take the box and kill a few? Or
he pretty much kills most of them.
Yeah. And I think Robin Wright is still alive, or did she die?
I think she's still alive.
And the mom is still alive?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think the mom might have died, actually. I don't know. We'll know in Wonder Woman 2. But when Diana, for some reason, has to talk to the Amazons for whatever reason. So, anyways, that was a good scene. Then they go to Aquaman. Then the worst introduction of a character that I've ever seen in a superhero movie takes place. Alec, do you happen to know what character I'm talking about?
You're talking about the Flash,
Yes, I am. The Flash.
Captain Spadoodles.
Yeah, Squiddly Diddly, as I have nicknamed him in our private conversations and when I text Alec. We often send each other goofy videos of him running and refer to him as Squiddly Diddly. Because, one, Batman shows up and he's just like, he literally is just in the Flash's place. And the Flash, albeit he says he's poor, lives in this extravagant apartment with all this equipment and a suit that he made himself that we never get to see him assemble. We're just kind of jump into the middle of his life.
Yeah, where it's like we're jumping into the middle of his life and he already has the Flash suit that's perfectly designed for him to fight crime in.
Yeah, but also, to me, he just looks like a little gay gimp in this movie.
You know what? That's kind of ironic because he played a gay character in what is it? That movie?
Fantastic Beasts?
No. Purpose of Being a Wallflower, I think it was called.
Oh, yeah. Listen, he seems like a nice guy. Once again, though, he just comes off as really naturally gay. If you were, like, to me on screen, he screams gay. Like, his face, his mannerisms, his voice, he didn't try to sound like the Flash does. In the TV show or the animated series, Flash is a very distinguished kind of, stern Batman, Superman-like voice that's very powerful and, like, I don't think I can go into the zone again. Otherwise,
yeah, which works because then when he tells jokes, they're funnier because they're coming out of this, like, legit-looking superhero.
Yeah, and the costume for him, I thought looked, once again, like bad cosplay. I've seen way better costumes from just random people on the internet. You could go on Instagram and type in hashtag The Flash and find a million people who have come up with their own suits.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, someone in an art department thinks to themselves, oh, well, it's got to be realistic. It's got to be realistic,
But then they give him, like, these 80s shoulder pads that, like, stick off the fucking ends. I'm like, he's supposed to be aerodynamic, you fucking morons. Like, he's got a suit that looks like it would drag. He looks like he stole Daredevil's costume. That's exactly what he looks like. He looks like he stole Daredevil's costume, changed the fabric to wool, and then started running around it.
Well, it's kind of one of those things where, to cite a better movie, Spider-Man, in the Marvel movies, they figured it out way better. Because it's like in Civil War, when Tony goes to meet Peter Parker, we see what Peter's been using for his adventures. And it looks like a Spider-Man suit that a very smart kid would design. Because all the clothing items look like things that you could buy in a store.
Except, and the one thing that has, like, a creative design, if I remember right, is he made some cool little glasses that attach to the suit. So when he squints, the glasses squint.
Yeah.
And they were, like, to help magnify his vision or something.
Yeah.
But they were it was very much just like the first one with Sam Raimi, where when Peter Parker's first going around and he's, like, in that wrestling match, he's just wearing, like, a Spider-Man t-shirt pretty much over a long sleeve red shirt and blue pants. He's walking around like Bart Simpson with a bandana on. It's like, yeah, that's what a kid would do because a kid doesn't know how to build a fucking suit. He's not a designer.
Yeah, I mean, and most people aren't seamstresses, so they wouldn't know how to sew anything.
Yeah, like, just have him, like, going to a place asking for them to make him it would be funny if they showed the Flash trying to be goofy and, like, he's at, like, a seamstress or a costume store having them custom make him something. And they go, so what's this for anyway? You got some kind of, like, Halloween party coming up? You know what I mean? And then he's just like, oh, Yeah, but I'm going as my own character I just made up. You know what I mean? Because comic books still exist in this world, so he could just be going as some other person or telling people
Yeah,
that, but then it's really his suit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and that's something that they would probably do in like the movie Shazam that we were just talking about, where you kind of tongue in cheek, you go, yeah, it's a really bright red, goofy costume with a lightning bolt on it. It's exactly like Shazam's costume. It's a red suit with a fucking lightning bolt on it.
yeah. But Shazam's costume actually looks good.
Yeah, at least, you know. And the conversation with Batman and the Flash, he just goes, uh, I think you're the Flash. And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. What's the Flash? What does that mean? And then he just, to test him, instead of just going, listen, I have this footage showing you do this stuff, and I'm not here to fuck around, and I'm Batman, and I'll break your face. He throws a batarang at him just to test his reflexes.
Yeah, and they have that like, oh, good reflexes scene.
Yeah, like, nice catch. But here's the thing. How come nobody ever brings up, and they use it later for the movie's plot line, but nobody brings up that his power is extremely dangerous because there are lightning bolts coming off of his fucking body. Like, Bruce wasn't in a suit. He was just in a normal, he wasn't in a bat suit. He was in a normal suit. If one of those random lightning bolts that jumps out from his body hits him, it electrocutes him to death. You know what I mean? Like, and he
Yeah,
doesn't have any control over it, seemingly. Like, when he runs around, they show that footage in Batman v Superman when he's watching the email and he's like robbing a store or he's stopping a robber from
yeah.
robbing a store.
He's stopping a robber.
Oh, so he's stopping a robber, but he destroys the entire store because of the lightning bolts.
Yeah, well, that and he's moving so fast.
Yeah, but it's like I don't care that the chip bags flew all over the place, but it's got like burnt marks from the lightning bolts and shit. And I'm like, how is his suit not like? How is he not dangerous? You know what I mean? Like,
What's that kind of question of like, what is the speed force? You know, that they don't answer.
yeah, and that stupid little Batman v Superman flash forward where the Flash comes in Batman's dream, even though he's really there, and then he wakes up from the dream and the Flash isn't there, but the papers are still moving. It's like, what? Is it a dream or is it real?
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
Oh God. But anyways, so he meets the Flash. In the Flash, the joke is that the Flash says yes because he's a loser and doesn't have any friends. So he goes, "Of course I'll be on the team because I need friends." Don't need to be friends with people my age, but these 50 somethings who are superheroes, I'll do that. And then I don't know what happened. I forget what he does with Cyborg. He just go up to him and go,
No, Wonder Woman goes up to him and says, "You should be a superhero." And he's like, "I can't, I'm a monster."
and she's like, I am a monster too, a beautiful monster. And then
I am a monster too. I am Jewish. What? Gal Gadot makes firm stance on Israel politics.
Israeli army backlash ensues after the Wonder Woman statements made in the Justice League. Okay, so once they're all together, I'm pretty sure if I remember right, they don't really have a. They go to like the Bat Cave or something, and they have a brief discussion. The Flash is buzzing around like an idiot, and then.
Well, what happens is they essentially after Cyborg says, "I don't want to be a hero," that's when Steppenwolf comes down, rips the roof off Atlantis, and takes the mother box.
Yeah, that's right. He does take the mother box because Aquaman's big thing is, I don't want the throne.
I do love that joke still works for that. What What if a Steppenwolf came down, ripped the roof off Atlantis, and took the mother box?
Yeah, I mean, what if?
If only Aquaman had had a woman with a bat.
And a machine gun wielded by a panda. But so they all get together. They chat about what needs to be done. Mother boxes. Aquaman sits on the lasso of truth and confesses that Wonder Woman's hot. La di da. It's then they meet up with sorry, I almost said Professor Gordon. They meet up with Detective Gordon, and it's played by J.K. Simmons, who we all saw getting yoked for this role ahead of time. I was thinking that he was going to be like a really badass Detective Gordon, like going around kind of Gary Oldman style and like grabbing the perp, you know what I mean, himself.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's what he thought too.
what?
I think that's what he thought too, was he was going to have like something to do.
Well, for example, when that guy gets away, that Batman is chasing, it would have been cool if when he falls off the roof or jumps off the roof, you see Detective Gordon's down there in a squad car, like an undercover squad car, gets out and catches this guy and beats the shit out of him and goes like, "You're coming with me."
Yeah,
You know?
like, where do you think you're going?
Yeah, exactly. Just like, and then, by the way, they didn't even have J.K. Simmons like do a voice or sound different. He just goes, "Here's the potential perp." And then they all disappear for some reason, but we had to have that shot of the four of them standing there. And then we're left with, once again, more horrific Flash humor. Where Jim Gordon turns around.
And only Flash is there.
Only the Flash is there, and he goes, "Wow, they really do just disappear. Wow, that's rude." And then
Fourth wall breaking.
Yeah, it's also like, how does he know that? He just got here. Like, he just joined the team yesterday.
Also, how did he not notice they would all leave?
Yeah, wouldn't everything be a lot slower to the Flash? He'd be like, "Where are you walking at such a slow pace?" Like he'd see Batman, his eyes start to move before he even walked in the direction he was going to go, and then he would just stop the conversation. But wait, where are you guys going? Where are we going?
Exactly.
But so, anyways, I mean, how much further are we from when Superman comes back?
Jesus, I think we're not. I don't even think we're halfway.
I mean, what the fuck happens in this movie?
Okay, no, we are close. So essentially, Batman and them all go to oh yeah, no. The next step is they all go to try and stop Steppenwolf, who's kidnapped a bunch of people, you know?
Yeah.
And they do their first fight with Steppenwolf, and that's where like the Flash has to go save all those people.
Oh, Jesus.
And the Batmobile like is a tank and fights underground.
God, this is such a bad scene. It really is. Like it could have been done tastefully. I thought it was done really rushed, no pun intended. But the character development, no pun intended, for the Flash was rushed. Because Batman literally just gives him a stern talking to, and he actually had to tell the Flash, who he invited onto his team that's involved with saving people, to save people.
I know.
And the Flash goes, "I don't know about that. I'm pretty nervous."
I've never saved people before.
And then Batman turns to him and goes, "Save just one." And then the Flash goes, "What?" And he goes, "I said save one." And then the Flash goes and just grabs random.
And Batman says, "Both my parents are dead.
Both my parents are dead.
Save just one.
Save one.
Preferably one whose mother is named Martha."
Yeah, just quick Flash. So he saves one person, and then Flash gets a little mental boner and saves like 5 more people because he's the Flash and he can. And then I don't know how they. I don't think they beat Steppenwolf. I just think
he runs away.
Yeah, he just vanishes again, conveniently. And then, as far as I can tell, they're like, all right, well, he didn't get the mother box, or we got it back from him somehow. So now that it's in our possession, we need to go somewhere, or we need to go to Atlantis and put it there, or get another one. I don't know what happens. I forget.
No, they're sitting around in Wayne Tower, and then Batman says, "Hey, guys, we should go bring Superman back from the dead." And everyone's like, all right, let's do it.
I didn't know that was an option in this movie. Let's do it. I didn't know that we could just write ourselves out of a fucking hole. So, oh yeah, that's when they cut to a clip of, this has got to be shocking for some kids. The Flash and Cyborg dig up Superman's body. Like, they go and dig out his grave in a graveyard.
Yep.
That's a scene in a comic book movie for kids. It's like, it was comical. It was like something out of Dude, Where's My Car? Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They were chatting about it. And I'm like, can't Cyborg just turn himself into a giant shovel and just shovel it all himself?
Or the Flash uses super speed to get this done without a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Can't it just be like, I want to do this, and then he just explodes into the dirt and then like pulls up this, not molded Superman. And
that's where they buried his mustache.
It's where they buried his career. How did Superman, let me ask you, get to the scene where he's like shirtless and wearing pajama bottoms?
Okay, well, first off, what it is that they first, to revive Superman, they go to the ship that in Batman v Superman was used to create Doomsday.
That's right.
And that's where they, essentially what it is that like they dump Superman's old moldy corpse into a pool of water. And Batman's like, hey guys, I got an idea. Flash, you run really fast and do something with lightning that hits the water at this exact moment. And it will bring Superman's dead, ugly corpse back to life.
Yeah, but who's monitoring Superman's body that's floating in the water?
I don't think anyone's monitoring it.
No, Alec, you're wrong. Aquaman is, because he's the water guy.
I forgot that.
Aquaman's job in the process of reviving someone back from the dead is to put his hand on his chest and gently push him underneath the surface of the water.
Yep.
And here's the thing. Once he's beneath the surface, he just takes his hand off. So he doesn't even need to hold him in place. He just leaves.
Don't you know how water works?
Yeah, you're not buoyant at all.
Not at all. Especially when you're a gas-filled corpse.
Gas. Kryptonian gas.
Corpses are filled with fart gas, and we all know it.
Yeah. Don't you try to change my opinion. All right. But so Flash, he backs up, and with only one attempt, using
No. First attempt fails.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, the first attempt fails.
How did it fail? Do you remember how it failed?
They missed the timing or something.
And just electrocuted the water guy because he was standing in the water?
No, nothing happened to him.
Of course not, because why?
Because he got out of the water because he already pushed him the fuck down.
Oh, that's true. Anyways, please continue.
So the first time they don't get it, and so then the second time they do, and so an explosion happens, and then Superman is kind of flying. He flies away, or like his body flies out of the goop, and they all end up in front of the Superman memorial.
That sounds so retarded. Can you imagine reading this in script form? And then Superman, Hadoukens his way right out of the fucking alien spaceship and lands in front of his own memorial. And then they all just run over there and stand in a perfect, evenly spaced, like 4.5 feet apart from each other distance, with Batman behind, because that's how a leader leads, is from behind, apparently.
Exactly.
And he's wrangling horses. And so for some reason he turns around after looking at it for like a good 20 seconds, and Wonder Woman, just apropos of nothing, goes, "He doesn't know who he is."
Which is kind of stupid, because he knows enough to want to kill Batman in this scene.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, no, I'll get to it when we get to that point, but I'll address it there. Thank you for reminding me. She goes, "He doesn't know who he is," and then Cyclops starts. Cyborg starts to pop, lock, and drop it against his own will. That's the amazing part. He's like, "My defense systems are getting funky," and then he starts to literally do like that hand twirl, pop, and lock, and then his arm becomes like a Metroid gun, and he goes phew and shoots a little beam past Superman, and Superman just kind of like moves out of the way and goes, "What was that?" And then he shoots again, and it hits Superman in the chest. And the way that Superman reacts is he just kind of goes.
Superman goes, "I can break these cuffs."
Yeah, he goes, and so Cyclops is like, "You can't break those cuffs." And then Superman's just like, and then he just toughs it out. And then Wonder Woman goes, "I'm gonna lasso him from 50 yards," and then like he's a buck that's on the loose, even though he's standing still. And she lassos him, but then he lassos her. It wraps around his arm, and then he lassos her. And he starts like pulling her. And then Aquaman comes at him with a trident, because I guess after reviving Superman from the dead, his first thought is to stab him through the face.
I mean, wouldn't it be yours?
Well, I mean,
look, David, if you got revived from the dead, I would immediately regret it and fear Frankenstein monster-esque retribution against me, so I'd stab you in the face.
Well, fair enough. But you and I have a lot more plot than this movie had. So Aquaman, goes up and goes like, "Yeehaw!" and then like gets punched and goes blah. Like he's one of the monsters in the pod race in Star Wars. They're like, blah.
Now this is pod racing.
They should have Aquaman get punched, and then it just freeze frames on Superman with an angry face. Go, "Now this is pod racing."
No, it should just be Superman saying that. Now this is pod racing. Go see Star Wars Episode 1 in 3D.
Why couldn't Superman have more funny quips like that? Like he punches them and he just goes, "Sorry, I'm not into fish." You know what I mean? Or I'm on.
Do you really want that? I mean, come on. Do you really want that?
It'd be better he said something than nothing. He's just going blur and like punches him. And Wonder Woman wraps his lasso, and then he pulls her, and she starts like fucking up the ground with her feet. And then, then Aquaman comes at him and like grabs his arm, and Superman grabs Aquaman's arm. Then Cyborg, Boba Fett's over to him with a little jetpack and is like flying and is like pushing him, there. And then the scene that everybody talks about that's kind of cool because it's very comic booky or animated series like is it shows the Flash in this horrible close-up of this little gay boy's face running around Superman with the beams of electricity going everywhere in super slow-mo, and it looks like everybody's frozen, and then you see Superman's eye follow the Flash around him, and everybody goes like, oh. But the problem, what took me out of the scene that nobody seems to bring up is right when it happens, I swear, like, hold on, I need this sound effect because this is exactly what happens. Like, Superman makes eye contact with the Flash, right? And this happens. And, like, I swear to God, that's in the score of the movie. It's just boom, boom, boom. And then the Flash makes eye contact, and then Superman just throws everybody in a random direction and, like, trips the Flash or scares the Flash into tripping, which is also stupid because how can the Flash possibly trip? Like, under his own will. Superman didn't technically trip him. He just turned and freaked him out, and then the Flash trips. And it's like, so you're the most ineffective Flash that's ever been in existence. I don't think I've ever seen in another instance the Flash get tripped.
Well, it's one of those things that they used to do back in the day in those 70s comics, but those comics were awful.
Yeah, that's really stupid. What they had to do recently, like in X-Men Apocalypse with Quicksilver, is the way that he got stopped wasn't by getting tripped, is that Apocalypse formed like this gravel around his leg and basically broke his leg. And that's what made it to where he couldn't run. Or he couldn't use his powers to its full effectiveness. But it's sad that their version of Quicksilver is a way better version of the Flash than the Flash is in these movies. And, you know, so anyways, Superman and the Flash get into this brief little squabble where Superman's throwing punches and the Flash is bobbing and weaving it, and they're not even getting close to each other. Like, it's really bad choreography. I don't know if you thought that, but I thought it looked like a horrible fight scene between the two of them.
It was.
Like, they weren't even close. These actors clearly thought that they were going to be, they probably weren't even in the same room when this shit happened. They were probably on 2 different green screens, 2 different days, and just shot their stuff so they're reacting to no one, and then they just CGI'd them too far apart. So the punches weren't...
No. What it was, I actually saw the behind the scenes. Was half of it they were not together on. And then the other half, the Flash was in this, like, elaborate metal gyroscopic rig.
Oh, God.
So they would film him running and slow, like, he would purposely run really slow so that the stunt team could move the costumed actor through these wall runs and stuff.
Oh, jeez.
And then they would speed it up.
But that sounds like I wasn't that far off, though, when you said that half the time they weren't together.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like half the time, because of that rig, it was so big you can't have anyone around it.
Oh, my God. That's so stupid. That's profoundly dumb. You know, it's the CGI in this movie, even in this scene, is just exceptionally bad. We talked about how Cyborg looked incomplete in the trailer, and you and I were both saying how we hoped that that is not what it was going to look like in the final picture. And
that was what he looked like in the final picture.
The only time he looked cool was when he had that little hoodie on. And it was like dark in his apartment, you know what I mean? And he's like looking up at the night sky, like with the red eye. I was like, that looks pretty cool. That looks like something out of a comic book, kind of like Creed meets Cyborg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's neat. And then he took that off and he just looked stupid. He looked incomplete and dumb. And it's kind of weird, and I'm not trying to shit on the black actor who plays him. I thought he was a good actor. I think he kind of stole the show in a lot of scenes that he was in, and he's definitely underpaid for compared to the other people. He was kind of chunky, and when you see the behind the scenes footage, he's in like a leotard with all the little mocap dots on him.
Yeah.
Look, he's got like 20 extra pounds on him. Like he's not ripped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not in really good shape. He's kind of like Fat Man a little bit. Like when Batman, like he kind of is in the off months or whatever, and Ben Affleck puts on weight. He kind of looked like that. He's just he looked puffy, like in the stomach and in the arms. He just kind of looked puffy. And they didn't bother to give him a real mask for half of his face. And I'm like, will you put a real mask on his damn face? Like at least that? It's like you're doing a Green Lantern right now, where you're like CGIing something like the Robin Hood Men in Tights, like the eye guard over his eyes with CGI instead of just having something that goes over his eyes for real. And that just looked bad. So, anyways, to further along in this scene, Superman, the one part I kind of liked is he and Wonder Woman are like trading punches, and then he just headbutts her into the ground.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool, because also when he headbutt her, there was a little like sonic boom, like a little sonic wave when he knocked her into the ground, and it like fucked up the ground.
Yeah.
He flies over to Batman, and Batman, I don't know what Batman does. I think he pulls like a 38 pistol or something and fires. I don't know what he does, but it's something really ineffective. It was like the equivalent of in Pokemon, like using like Sting. You know what I mean? Where it's like completely ineffective and it only works on a Weedle.
Yeah.
It's like your Weedle learned tackle. You know what I mean? Like, so Batman, like his main move is like to throw a punch or something like that while in a fight. And Superman grabs him by the face, like with a Superman grip, and doesn't break his jaw somehow. He grabs him just hard enough to lift his whole body 25 feet off the ground, but not enough to break his face in half. And then Superman does this. Then we get a really amazing close-up of this awful CGI. It's the CGI that you see in every single thumbnail, I think, on YouTube, and I'm sure Alec would agree. When they show Superman, they show it because he's on the left side, the left third of the frame. You can see like the very ends of his fingers on Batman's face, and he's like saying, you won't let me live. You won't let me die.
Yeah, that horrible nightmare.
That it's such bad dialogue. It's such bad chemistry. I think they lack chemistry extremely. You know what I mean? Like none of these people have good chemistry on there.
Definitely.
And that goes. You don't need to have chemistry to be, just for romantic people in a movie, but you need it for the friendships as well. Like, if you look at a movie like Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis, they have some weird kind of good comedic chemistry together. And same goes with like Hangover movies. Paul Rudd usually has good chemistry with any of his love interests and any of his friends in movies because he just seems like that type of guy. But they just seem like, if I didn't know any better, they would just be using their stunt doubles and not even acting in the same scene together. So when they showed a close-up of Batman's face with Superman's hand on it, that person might have just been a stunt double for Henry Cavill. And then when we're showing Henry Cavill, he's just holding a stunt double for Batman's face.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like they're acting like these are Oscar-winning actors across from them or Golden Globe-nominated actors. They're acting like they're acting against a wall. Just completely flat.
They probably were just acting against a wall.
That's what I'm saying. And when a stunt double's there, they're just there to be there. They're not saying any lines.
Or at the very least, they're not delivering them with any gusto or anything. It's just like...
Yeah, it's somebody. No, it's an AD or someone offset reading it with a megaphone, going, "Gotham needs you." And then, by the way, in this scene when he says, "You won't let me live, you won't let me die," he says it with a British accent.
I don't remember that, but that sounds about right at the level of this.
Honestly, I'm gonna fucking pull this up because it was so not how Superman talks that it's kind of like listen really, like how do you think, Alec, like if you could do your best British accent, how would you say "do you bleed"?
Do you bleed?
All right, so remember that you said "do you bleed." All right, now I'm gonna fast forward to this part in the scene.
You won't let me live. You won't let me die. The world needs you. It doesn't need you. Tell me, do you bleed?
That does not sound like him from the other scenes.
No, it doesn't. Sounds like
Will you bleed?
Sounds like something that they recorded after the fact.
Yeah, he probably wasn't him coming in for it.
Or at the very least, it's like he doesn't remember how he delivered it or what the nature was.
Yeah, like maybe they were in a scene and they didn't even bother putting the scene up in front of him, so he's just like reading the ADR just flat, like a cold read.
Yeah.
He's like, sorry, or that was in between on a Mission Impossible day, so he had been doing his normal British accent for like a month and then comes back on set and has to do the American thing.
Yeah.
He didn't have time to like work it out, like to train it away. But then there's a great point that somebody made. I forget what it was or who it was. But in this scene, when he has Batman hoisted up in the air, Lois Lane just appears with a cup.
No. That's Batman's backup plan. Because Wonder Woman's like, "Do you have a plan B?" And he's like, "Yes." And it's Lois Lane.
Oh, okay. Well, so Plan B happens. No pun intended. And
Lois runs out of the car screaming, "Clark!"
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that in front of a cop who doesn't die in the scene, she goes, Clark, don't put him down.
Put him down, Clark. You put that Batman down.
And by the way, he throws Batman into a cop car from like 50 feet in the air and like just like throws him on the ground like a rag doll. And it's like, should have put Batman out of commission because he's not in the metal suit. We saw him in the metal suit in the other movies. He is in a normal padded suit, but he got thrown into a car and the car got fucked.
Yeah.
The car is completely leveled, and Batman's like, I need to switch to Tampax.
Oh, he said. He turns to the camera and says, "Both my parents are dead.
And now I'm a bat." So after that scene, then what happens? So Superman flies away with Lois. Where do they go? Nobody knows.
They go to Kansas, and then he sees his mom, and she's like, "Superman, you're alive."
He's like, we're the same age.
He's like, "Mudda, fada."
I think this is one of the few scenes, I think I said it to Alec while we were watching it. I said, this might be one of the few scenes where he actually was, like, had a shaved face.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like it was really him again, because his face was more normal and his teeth were fine. And it looked like they had done maybe a little bit of work. Maybe he only had some stubble or something and not a full mustache. So it was easier for them to work on. But it looked a lot better. And the lighting was a lot better because it was at like sunset in Kansas over the cornfield kind of shit. And then Clark's like, I'll take that as a yes. And then she goes, what? And he goes, the ring. You put my ring on your finger. I'm assuming by that you were engaged.
And she's like, "Oh no, sorry, Clark. This is a symbolic thing. I was actually going to tell you no."
I I realized that I could. She pulls like a Mary Jane. Listen, I know the thing that I loved about you was your bravery, but you're so brave that you might be in danger, so I can't. Then after he sees his mom, what goes on then? Do you remember?
Pretty much he's like, as far as him, it's like he's just like, "Oh, I don't know if I can go back to being Superman," you know. And then after that, as far as our main crew, they're all like, "Man, that Superman plan didn't work." And then before they can really do anything, it's like, "Oh no, we've detected Steppenwolf heat signatures coming from somewhere in Russia."
Yeah. Quick to the Batcave.
Oh, also, we forgot to mention while the Steppenwolf or while the Superman revival thing was going on, we kept cutting back to this, like, vaguely Eastern European family that's being hiding in their house from the, like, parademons.
Oh yeah, well, I think that's more towards the end, isn't it?
Well,
Like,
they're doing it throughout the movie. Like,
oh,
while
that's
they're
right.
doing all the
That's right.
Superman revival stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like, this family is hiding
Yeah,
from the parademons because
gets more screen time than I think Batman in this movie. Like it's a lot of screen time, like a lot, and they don't say anything that we understand. I don't think there's any subtitles for any of their dialogue.
no, they're mostly just cowering in fear.
Yeah, like I think the little girl has a hammer, and then a boy has a spray can of paint, and then the dad has a shotgun, and then the mom's just mothering, and she's just like hiding underneath a table
With a baby.
with a baby. Of course, it's always got to be a baby, and so basically they end up fighting. I don't want to skip over a huge swath of this, but I think they end up just fighting Steppenwolf on some platform, like you said, in Russia.
Yeah, they're fighting him in a nuclear silo.
Oh, there you go. And this is like the scene that you see in the trailers. In the original trailers, there was a blue scene. Then there's a second trailer where it's a red scene, and they ended up using the red to like the red sky, where everything just looks like the world's on fire.
Yeah.
Like we're filming it on Mars. And that's where you see all the shitty stuff from the trailer. When like Aquaman gets thrown by Cyclops at a parademon. And he goes, "My man.
Yeah.
My man."
Pretty much it's like this is where they're having their big, "Hey, look, guys, we're totally just like Marvel's Avengers."
Yeah.
Guys, we're like Marvel, we swear.
Yeah.
Look, we're fun. We're a fun movie.
We're having fun here. Clearly, we're having a lot of fun here.
Please watch our movies.
Yeah, so we got Batman versus the Parademon. We have Superman versus the Justice League. Justice League, funny moment. Superman's resurrection. Let me see. Yeah, I think we end up moving into the fight scene.
Yeah, it's the final fight.
So, I mean, in between a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of bullshit with like Steppenwolf, this horrible, horrible CGI Steppenwolf. I mean, everybody was right when they said that it looks like a video game. Like it looks like something from Duke Nukem. And it's the first thing I thought, and it wouldn't be that bad if the whole movie was like that. The thing that's distinguishable, though, is they clearly didn't even have an actor in makeup to mocap it. They're just doing it by memory. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reference. It's very clunky. It's not very fluid. He doesn't do anything cool.
Well, it's that thing of like there's nothing memorable or interesting about him or his design.
No, and also nobody knows who the fuck Steppenwolf is. I'm pretty sure people think that that's like an acting class that you can take.
Yeah, it's because and all it is just like a hey wink nod nod, hey guys, dark side, hey wink nod nod. We know you wanted dark side, but we don't want to blow our load on this movie, so here's a guy who's kind of like him.
Oh man, what is this one? Hold on a second.
Oh god.
This is the tunnel battle. Is that the one that we've been talking about? The first battle before the final battle? I think that's the one where he says like primitive beings. Oh Jesus, I don't remember like any of this shit. Oh yeah, the dynamic between a lot of these characters in these fight scenes is just cringe-inducing because like Alfred's always just available on the phone no matter who's calling and what circumstance they're in. And he's always just there with quippy dialogue. Like I think they shot Jeremy Irons out in about 1 or 2 days.
Probably.
And I don't know why that is because I don't know what else he has going on ever since the Dungeons and Dragons movie. But
well, it's probably they just couldn't afford him for the reshoots.
Maybe he just was like, I nailed it on those takes. I don't want to do any more. And then they just are like, all right, fair enough. You're the only person who's just standing there or sitting there in your scene, so I'm pretty sure we can nail it in one shot. Like, all right, Alfred, don't worry, I'll take it from here. Do I know you? Cut, print that.
I just love that, like, I'm doing these scenes and I'm not going to do anymore.
All right.
it's like
see if I can.
Okay then.
I'm a professional actor.
I guess that's a wrap on Alfred.
Everybody just questioningly, kind of shruggingly claps, like, good job, Jeremy Irons. I don't, way to go.
Yeah, it's like, good job, I guess.
Sort of. But they, what else? So in this final battle, though, if we were to just jump to that, what sticks out to you in particular that's bad about this final battle?
It's a mess. It's a giant, obscene mess of CGI garbage.
Yeah, I'm one to agree with you.
That's the problem, is it's just like, it's all this crap flying around the screen.
Yeah. What was the thing that really like stuck out to you though, as far as like the biggest thing that was the biggest mess?
Oh, I don't know. Give me a second to think about that one.
I'll tell you mine, and I'll let you see if you can come up with yours.
Yeah.
Because it might be an overlap. For me, anything with Cyborg and Superman. Because, spoiler alert, Superman swoops in, saves the day, because basically he could have fixed this all with one hand tied behind his back. And the rest of the Justice League is fucking it all up. The Flash doesn't do anything helpful. He moves that Russian family in a truck down the road.
Superman moves an apartment complex.
Yeah. Of people that we don't even see. So who even cares? As far as I'm concerned, he's moving an empty building. You know, they don't even bother to put people cheering like out the windows, like comically. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're saving our lives. Like, just nothing. It's just a band. It looks like a building being rescued out of Chernobyl. It looks terrible. It's a cute moment with Superman because it looks like something out of a comic TV show. Like, you know, that there was a really old Superman that I used to watch when I was a kid, and maybe you know what it is. But he used to start off with like faster than a speeding bullet, you know, and
yeah, the Fleischer cartoons.
Yeah, the Fleischer cartoons. There's like, you know, more exciting than a locomotive, you know. And it just goes, it's a bird. It's a plane. No, wait, it's Superman. But it's like the one that we used to see when we were a kid. Like you could get it on VHS, you know?
Yeah.
And that looks like something out of that. Like out of the intro to a show, like Superman carrying a whole building while somebody's carrying a small box. You know, that's the funny comparison. He's Superman. Is it a bird? Is it a plane carrying that building? No, it's fucking Superman. But cut away from that. We don't even see him set it down. We just assume he drops it in a nice place, in a nice gentrified neighborhood. And he flies back into the scene, and then he fights Steppenwolf. And I don't know who thought it was cool to make it seem like Superman didn't even have a challenge with fighting Steppenwolf. Like Steppenwolf didn't even land a shot on Superman. Superman, they did a lot of those shots where Steppenwolf swings and throws a punch because an intergalactic space being can only throw punches like an everyday person. He can't use any kind of specialty maneuver or magic or weapon. It has to be a punch, like or a boxing match. And Superman does the slow-mo fist out of the way. You know what I mean? Like the fist is coming towards my face, and then he just like dodges it because he sees it in slow motion. And it's like, what's the fucking point of this? And like, I think he grabs his fist when he swings again and like throws him up and then knocks him down and smacks him around and calls him his bitch. And, you know, everybody's like, wow, Superman, you're really handling that. And he's like, shut up. Handling it.
Shut up, I'm handling it.
They're like, save us, Superman. He's like, I was fucking in the middle of doing that. God damn it. I fucking hate
it. Is your mom named Martha?
Yeah, what? You know, listen, why don't you shut up and let the fucking superhumans do all the work, all right? So, oh yeah, don't they have to grab, one of the plots for the movie was like Cyborg, I think is supposed to be made of the same thing that the other boxes were made of. Sorry.
Yeah.
So because of that, they said, like, you're the only way, Cyborg, that we can disarm it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have the scene like pulled up. It's on low volume, so I can see what happens. Yeah,
yeah, no. Cyborg has like the technology to like make the mother box like not destroy the Earth, and then Superman helps him rip the 3 mother boxes apart.
Yeah, and they're fighting off parademons left and right. Like the Flash is on the bridge, and he like electrocutes and runs through like 20 of them. Steppenwolf slap shots one of the Aqua women that's helping Aquaman. Wonder Woman uses her gauntlet and she destroys a bridge with all of them on it, and they all fall to a lower platform. But because they're all superhumans, it doesn't do anything. Meanwhile, the mother box is terraforming the Earth and making these like weird purple anthill looking things on the surface, if you remember that.
Yeah.
They're like little tendrils that are just like building up into the sky and
wrapping. The big beam shooting into space like everything else in these fucking movies.
Yeah, except instead of shooting into space, it's just like squirming around the ground like a worm. And I'm sorry, I'm literally, oh yeah, Wonder Woman pulls him down with the lasso of truth. And then Aquaman helps her because that's allowed. He can touch it, you know. It's not like Mjolnir. It's not like you have to be worthy. You can just grab it. You know what I was getting kind of flashbacks to when I saw this scene?
What?
Was the Star Wars prequels from number 3 when they were fighting on Mustafar.
Yeah.
I was getting a lot of that, where it's like there's lava everywhere, but nobody is paying any mind to it. Like it's not a big deal. And yeah, like, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this clip, and I'm looking at Steppenwolf ripping Cyborg's leg off. And Cyborg's doing a whole, like, he took my arms off and threw them over there. And then he took my legs off and threw them over there. You know, like, And then Superman shows up. Oh my god. Literally almost halfway exactly through this fight, Superman shows up and his face looks fucked. It looks so bad. And Henry Cavill looks like he was in the middle of a break. So he was eating a lot of pasta, and they brought him on. So they had even more CGI work to do on his fatter face, and it just failed miserably. So they put a butt chin on his face that he doesn't have in real life. They added a butt chin. Superman then punches Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf falls down, and he's like, "Oh man, I just got punched." And everybody like looks up at Superman, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Batman. They're like, "Holy shit! Look at what Steppenwolf just did, or what Superman just did." Steppenwolf throws a punch. Superman dodges the punch. Cyborg is putting his leg back on. Then there's just this mother box, this glowing orb thing floating in midair, right? And Superman and Cyborg share like this little funny banter where they're like, "Yo, is something bad gonna happen if we grab hold of this?" And then Cyborg goes, "Yeah, man, it's gonna go boom big time." Something like that. He's gonna go like, "Ooh, boom goes the dynamite."
And you're sitting there wondering, like, is this real life?
Yeah. Or is it just fantasy? Spoiler alert, they come out on top. Steppenwolf is defeated. I forgot if Steppenwolf dies or if he goes back to his home world. Hopefully he dies.
He gets sucked up and pulled back to the home world.
See, that fucking blows because it's like he's pointless. What we wanted to see in these movies was Darkseid. That was who's supposed to be the main villain. We don't need to see. It's not like a video game where we have to go through all the sub bosses to get to the main boss. I mean, you can do that in Marvel movies because Marvel movies establish that you have to build the danger. But the Justice League, since they didn't make a Flash movie or a Batman movie individually with these new directors within this particular DC universe, since they didn't do that, or a Cyborg movie, really, and Wonder Woman had just come out just before the Justice League, I think 8 months before.
Yeah, and it was like surprisingly successful.
Yeah, because they had no frame of reference for the Justice League and how bad that was going to look. The movie wasn't even close to being done. I think they were still dealing with the CGI effects of Henry Cavill's mustache at the time that Wonder Woman was getting filmed. So they didn't even pay attention. And it was done by a completely different director, Wonder Woman. It was done by a female director.
Who did a way better job.
Yeah, she did a fantastic job. I forget her name. I think it's Rachel something, but I forget. I don't know, man. This whole movie was such a clusterfuck, and so many people were saying like, "Well, it was better than Batman v Superman." I'm like, no, it fucking wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was worse. There were even more characters and even less plot. And these movies, it's weird. I can't believe how bad they have gotten some of these characters. Like how badly they missed the mark. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy because Alec really likes the Wonder Woman, likes Wonder Woman as a character. He's a big fan of hers. I like Batman. Alec likes Batman a shit ton too. I think Alec likes Batman more than Wonder Woman. But I can't speak for you. But
it just depends on the story.
Yeah, but I think more times than not, you're more interested in the Batman shit.
Yeah.
But Alec does like the Wonder Woman idea. When we saw Wonder Woman, when we saw that it was good, we talked about it for a while. We were really surprised because I was waiting for Alec to be really disappointed with it, and for me to be disappointed too, because it's like Alec actually had some expectations going into it. Like I didn't have any reference for it. The last thing Wonder Woman related I had reference to was Linda Carter. So
that's why you were disappointed. You're like, where's the spinning?
Yeah, where's her spinning in a room? And then a dissolve happens.
That's what I came to this for.
Yeah, this movie. It hurt my brain. It ruined so many characters. It was kind of pointless. It was extremely rushed. It seemed like it was just made in a rush so that they could sell merchandise and
Which
not so that they could make a good film at all. And I'm sorry that of what happened to Zack Snyder during the filming of it, to where he had to leave with his daughter and everything. Because you heard about that, right?
yeah.
That's a tragedy. But I feel like out of respect, maybe you should have put off the movie until he could have come back and completed his vision.
Absolutely.
I think it's weird to have continued on with somebody who, well, you continued on with Joss Whedon, right?
Yeah.
So they brought on a Marvel dude, and they thought, like, well, if we bring this Marvel guy on and the guy likes it, we'll look like geniuses. Because it's almost like a crossover film without any of the characters. And it'll be crossover in tone. But it fucked up the whole tone of the story, because the tonal shifts were going between goofy one-liners with Aquaman sitting on the rope, their lasso of truth, and then Superman telling Batman, "Do you bleed?" and throwing him into a car. Like, it was way, way too confusing. And I don't know. I just thought it was really corny. I thought the dialogue was written horribly. I thought the CGI was bad. I thought the acting was abysmal. It just really bothered me. The whole movie bothered me.
I would agree.
And, to make a movie because one studio executive heard of something called the Justice League, and they go, I remember my kid being really into that when he was 8 years old, so I'm going to do that. Or that's what we're going to do next. That's the dumbest reason in the world to make a movie. You should make it when you're passionate about it, because you can see the passion in the storytelling. The reason we all liked the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is because he gave it his all for the Batman stuff. The Dark Knight is arguably one of my favorite movies of all time, regardless of superhero or not. It's just brilliantly written and brilliantly acted, and they threw 110% at it, and it shows. But now everybody's trying to do that, but do it fast and do it a bunch of times. And you just can't do that. Christopher Nolan knew what he was doing, and you guys are just trying to do this fucked up, weird copy of it that is so watered down. It's not even close to what he was doing. To compare Heath Ledger to Jesse Eisenberg would be a joke. To compare Heath Ledger to Jared Leto would be a joke. To compare Jesse Eisenberg to any of the prior Lex Luthors is a joke. To go from Gene Hackman and Kevin Spacey to Jesse Eisenberg with long hair, and then we only see him bald at the end of the movie, and he's got a weird head, and he talks funny, and it's just bizarre. I have no idea what that was supposed to be. I mean, it would have been more of a creative twist if after he got put in jail or something like that, they were like, this isn't actually Lex Luthor. And they go, who is it? And then, he pulls off a mask or something. He's like, I'm Victor Yaz. You know what I mean?
Or even if it's like, oh, Lex Luthor's my father. I'm Alex Luthor.
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying to you, is I said that he could have been, Lex Luthor, and then, Alexander Luthor could have been Bryan Cranston or something.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, what it just boils down to as far as Justice League is it's just they didn't let Zack Snyder can try his vision, because that's really, and then he left the movie, and then they went and paid Josh Whedon a bunch of money to make it like a Marvel movie halfway through.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know. I feel that they are putting too many of these superhero movies out there because maybe they sense the impending doom of the superhero genre. You know what I mean? And they go, we need to do it before, in the next 2 years because this is dying. You know what I mean? Like maybe they see the trends, and so they're just trying to beat it before it runs out.
No, that is what they're doing. Is they are terrified that the superhero genre is about to fail, and so they tried to get this done really fast to head that off. But it's just they tried to rush it. They didn't plan. To Disney's credit, Disney had this long-term plan that they risked a lot on, and they were rewarded. Whereas Warner Brothers didn't want to risk anything.
They put a decade of work into it, and then these people try to swoop in after Christopher Nolan on his own put a decade into it, and then try to throw 5 or 6 movies in a 2.5, 3-year time span. And it's like, guys, these are crap. And remember, Batman v Superman was delayed. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it had all these production issues.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in like 2015. And it came out in like 2017. It was horribly delayed. We talked about it on a different podcast, Batman v Superman going down. I feel almost back to like 2015, like right when I got back from California.
Yeah.
And it just never happened. It might have even been before I went out to California. Maybe it was 2014. I mean...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2015.
But yeah, let's say that to be safe. And so and that one turned out bad. And then they took half the time and turned out the Justice League one after it. It's like, you only did like 2 movies.
Yeah.
You did Suicide Squad and you did Batman v Superman, and then you just jumped into the Justice League after having 2 floppers, And it's just, I get the idea of trying to, wring the rag dry before you get rid of it. But to me, I think it's kind of insulting as a person who's a fan of these movies, person who's a fan of movies in general, for both of us, it's insulting because we just wanted to see a good movie, period. Regardless if it was about these characters or not, we could have an entire Batman movie where he never even throws a punch. It's about Bruce Wayne struggling with his issues, and he never even puts on the cape, and we wouldn't be that upset by it. It's all in the way in which it is done. I feel like Christopher Nolan basically did that with The Dark Knight. It was very minimal on the Batman stuff and very Joker heavy.
Yeah.
The Joker didn't do anything really that crazy. It was all what he might do, what he might get away with. Like Joker talking about, blowing up these 2 ships and giving the 2 people the detonators, and one is full of innocent people, one's full of prisoners. You both have a timer. Nothing blew up. There was no CGI spectacle. It was all real in-camera stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The only CGI that they used in those movies was mostly for background, to fill it in. So if it was winter, or it was supposed to be winter, they could set dress 100 yards of pavement, put some snow on it, then put a green screen up there in between some buildings, and then CGI snow falling in the distance.
Yeah.
But that was really it. Like in The Dark Knight, that famous scene where he's like, we made it, we are tonight's entertainment. He's like, you remind me of my father. I hated my father. In that scene, the only thing that is green screened is the outdoors, because they shot it during the day and they wanted it to be nighttime during a ball.
Yeah.
And they did an amazing job. An amazing job of making it look seamless. Christopher Nolan is, just like David Fincher, is really good at using seamless and subtle CGI or like fake blood or whatever, and not overdoing it to the point that it distracts you from the rest of the movie. Batman v Superman, the last 25 minutes is a CGI nightmare.
Oh yeah, with like the Doomsday And they're
Yeah,
fighting that giant, which looks like an ogre from Lord of the Rings, and it's
yeah, and he's shooting an electric beam out that is making like an orb of electric shot shooting out, and they have to justify it by saying things like "There's nobody on this island, so there's no worry."
yeah.
Like then there's basically what you did is you turned to the camera and said, "This fight has zero stakes." That's what you just said. If it was in the middle of Gotham City, anytime he's supercharged, they would have to be way more pragmatic in their approach and smart about it because they couldn't risk him imploding again because he would wipe out half the city.
Yeah.
That would be a risk. But to go to like, what was it, Alcatraz Island or something, and they go, yeah, everybody's gone for the weekend. Everybody's on a holiday, so nobody's here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's but the Justice League took that and made an entire movie about it. They took that last 25 minutes that was a CGI nightmare, made an entire movie out of it. And like I remember even the Batman v Superman. Remember when they showed Aquaman and he was clearly holding his breath underwater? He had bubbles coming out of his nose and mouth, and his eyes were squinting while they shined a light into Jason Momoa's eyes.
Yeah,
And
and then they had the CGI scene of him shooting away, and it looks like PlayStation 2 era.
Yeah, and it looks like a sonic boom underwater, And I remember when we saw that, we all laughed out loud in the theater because it just looked terrible. It looked like it's once again a student film. And in this movie, it just looked like a bunch of kids got together and made something with an incoherent story with bad acting. And instead of calling it quits early on when Henry Cavill couldn't shave his fucking mustache, or when Ben Affleck was having trouble with the studio because he was trying to direct the Batman and be in the Batman and write the Batman and then decided not to because it was too much and he hated his own idea. When they had all those problems, they could have gone, you know what? Let's just cut our losses.
Well, it's not that they need to cut their losses. It just really boils down to it's like when Zack Snyder had to leave the project, they shouldn't have panicked and said, Joss Whedon, make this a Marvel movie now.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of, well, because like this is something, and this is not like an original idea. Plenty of people have said it before, but it's very apparent that this movie was supposed to be way darker.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
because you and I would talk about like how the costumes kind of all look like crap, and it's like, yeah, because you probably were not supposed to see them that well.
Yeah, they took they took a dark Zack Snyder movie where they shot it in dim lighting and shot it really dark, and then they just amped up the brightness and the contrast. And so like Batman's suit looks like it's made of patches like a quilt.
Yep. Flash's suit is held together by wire.
Yeah, it's held together by wire on the seams, and it also looks like it's made out of pleather and wool combination. Aquaman looks like he's made of fool's gold.
Yeah, he looks like he's got a fake tan on the whole movie.
Yeah, he has a fake tan, but the gold on his thing doesn't look real. It looks so shiny. It looks like they just went to like a puka shell store and then spray painted some puka shells and put it all over him. Like it looks really, really cheap. The only person who looks kind of okay is Wonder Woman, but that's because her outfit is the same that they had already shot in a previous movie.
Yeah.
And in this movie, they tried to make Superman's outfit really bright because everybody was bitching about how dour and dark it looked in the other one. And it's like, listen, man, just pick a fucking style already.
Yeah, it's like pick a style.
Yeah, if you bring a guy on, if we already have 80% of the movie shot, go, listen, dude, we're really bringing you on just to copy what he does because we know that you're capable of doing it.
And that's the thing. That's why you don't get Joss Whedon. You get someone who makes movies that look kind of like Zack Snyder.
Yeah, you get a camera person. You know what I mean? You just get a camera guy.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Have Zack Snyder's camera guys do it.
Honestly, that would be smart. Have Zack Snyder's camera guy and assistant director, do it just to fill in those gaps. You know what I mean? It's like they're already there. You already paid for them. You don't need to bring in Josh Whedon's team so that he can get his shit done the way he wants it done. That's just so dumb, and it just wastes time and money. I mean, because then that means that they still have to pay Zack Snyder his quote and Joss Whedon his full quote.
Well, it's also that thing too. We saw this with the Star Wars movies where they dismissed that one lady that was running the Star Wars thing. And it's like we see the same thing where it's like when you try and change everything
Mm-hmm.
and reinvent the wheel halfway through production, like it's a failure.
Are you talking about Kathleen Kennedy?
Yeah, because the thing was that like they kept for like I think it was Solo was one. They lost the Russo brothers because they would not let them make the movie they wanted to make.
Yeah, it was Solo, and then they brought in Ron Howard because they said that the Russo brothers were making it too jokey. Like, they're making it almost like a tongue-in-cheek Simon Pegg kind of style. You know what I mean? Or Edgar Wright kind of style.
Yeah, but it's that kind of thing. And then, Solo turns out poor. Because you can tell when two different directors make a movie.
Yeah, and Ron Howard, I mean, nothing against the guy, but it's not a movie that he's meant to.
Well, more so, it's like if he had made it from the start, it would just be a Ron Howard movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And it's also, get the guy who directed fucking Ocean's 8 or 9 or whatever it is. Ocean's 11, sorry. The original one with the dudes.
Yeah.
Have that person come in and do it. They clearly can do a story where a guy's a smuggler. Ocean's 11 is about 6 guys stealing shit. It was a good movie. It's competently made, and the only thing that changes is the outfits. But as far as the directing style, it's pretty much the same. But they pick Ron, pale or boring as unbuttered toast Howard to come in and direct stuff. And I like Ron Howard for certain things. He's not a bad director, but he has to be there the whole time. And
it's like you can't just give
interested in it.
Yeah. You can't just give Ron Howard like someone else's movie and say, fix this, please.
Yeah, because then I guarantee you, can you imagine how awkward that must be watching a movie that you were brought in to direct after they fired the other people and having to see what you have to work with?
Yeah. Also, fired people who are at their peak success and whom you probably have at least a level of respect for.
Yeah.
Because it's like these guys they're on the top. They did the Lego movie, which is kind of like that's kind of the sad irony is like these guys made a Lego movie work, which is argumentably way harder to make work than a Star Wars film.
Yeah, that has a built-in fan base.
Yeah. So it's like they made a harder franchise into a very good movie, and were willing to do this Han Solo prequel that no one wanted, and then you're Ron Howard and you're given the job, and then you walk in and you're like, wow, these guys had a plan and stuff, and now I have to because I can't reshoot the whole movie because they won't let me.
Well,
so I have to kind of figure something out and hope for the best.
Well, what it is like, let's say if I was the Russo brothers and I was painting a house and I had like a nice paint roller and everything, and I'm painting it and I'm working really quickly and I got a whole team with me, and then you, as Ron Howard, come in and I give you some of those small little hand brushes and I go, continue painting the rest of the house.
Continue, peasant.
Yeah, continue as if you had the exact same equipment and style and time that the other person had. And it's also like you brought in a guy who knows nothing about fucking Star Wars. Like, as far as I can tell, I've never heard Ron Howard talk about Star Wars. I've never heard any interviews where he's like fangirling over it. But these guys had an interest. and you took the people who were uninterested because they were going to make it more humorous than you wanted. Because you just wanted this dark Star Wars gritty universe.
Because that worked out so well for Rogue One.
Yeah, the movie that everybody liked the first time they saw it, and then they came out of the theater a couple days later after they were out of the theater, they realized
this is awful.
This is bad. Like, upon second viewing, I realized it sucks. It's the same thing when people like Force Awakens, and then they realized it was a rehash of A New Hope, and then they had the Mary Sue arguments and how nothing went wrong, and now you have the same shit with The Last Jedi. Like, this guy ruining Star Wars, like the whole premise of Star Wars, just because he wanted to turn shit upside down. It's like, yeah, you're like with Kathleen Kennedy. When you try to break the wheel and you try to reinvent it on a movie that arguably should be the end of a trilogy or the end of a cap movie, you know what I mean? An end cap movie.
Yeah.
Summer tentpoles, like The Last Jedi or the Justice League. Because those are reset movies. That's where you get rid of all your cast and then you start over and make a whole new trilogy because you've hit an end point. You're like, well, that universe and that story has been told officially 3-4 movies. Good for us. Let's move on. It's like when Robert Downey Jr. leaves the Iron Man role, we're going to have to find another one because they're not going to just let it die. But they'll have to find somebody else who's younger or tell a completely different parallel universe story where Robert Downey Jr. or Iron Man is 20 years old.
They'll do Ironheart. You watch.
Oh,
watch. They will do Ironheart. They'll be like, we can't get Robert Downey Jr. back, so now we're going to have a 15-year-old kid. Whoa!
Yeah, I remember you telling me about it. Was that the one that's like the black girl who's Iron Man?
Yeah, she's like 15 or some crap, and Tony Stark is an AI that, pretty much tells her stuff, but
isn't her name like Riri or something?
Yeah, it's Riri Williams, I believe, and her character is that of a plank of wood.
Yeah, God, it's the same thing with this like Venom movie, right?
Oh, fuck the Venom movie! Don't even get me started on that. Which I'm going to get started on that, but that's that is the most ridiculous thing. Well, Sony's like, it's Sony is just like an angry child at this point. It's like they're mad because Disney got Spider-Man to work. Like, Disney came in and just made a decent Spider-Man movie that people liked, and Sony was pissed. How dare they make a likable movie with one of our franchises?
Oh, are you talking about Amazing Spider-Man?
No. Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, Disney made that.
Oh, Disney. I thought you said DC. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Disney made a decent Spider-Man movie, and now Sony is angry that Disney just made a basic, superhero movie.
And now it's like...
And so now they have to ruin it by going, hey, you know what'll really stick it to Disney? Let's dump millions of dollars into a Venom movie no one wanted or asked for or understands.
With Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy is also much like Tywin Lannister. What's his name?
Charles Dance.
It's like, Tom Hardy, can you say no to a movie? You were in Mad Max. Mad Max was great.
And he didn't even say shit in Mad Max. He was pretty
quiet. He just got to grunt and make faces. I mean, even Bane was not horrible, but it's like, why are you doing the Venom movie? It's not going to be a good movie. Like, whoever his agent is, they should be slapped. You know what would have been better? If I was Tom Hardy's agent, I would get him into a Marvel movie.
I think
who would
Winter Soldier.
He could be anything. Get him into
better. Anybody I think would have been way better than the guy who plays Bucky in the Winter Soldier movies. I'm just not feeling that guy as him, but that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people will disagree. I don't dislike him, but I just don't think he's the best choice. I think they easily could have picked somebody else. But I'm glad that they gave some nobody, seemingly, or a person who I hadn't heard of, a chance to do something.
but
Listen to this line. This is like one of my least favorite moments. I'll stop it after the line.
Brings property back. I don't know. Why would we do that?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Why would you do that?
Oh, but it's just like, there's still like, Captain Marvel for Marvel is coming out,
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't you put him in that? He could have fought, that blonde girl that's being Captain Marvel, and, he could have been a bad guy.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Hell, he would be better in the X-Men movies. He'd be better off doing an X-Men movie. I could think of 4 X-Men characters Tom Hardy could be right now.
Yeah, 100%. I think he could make a great Gambit.
He could make a great Gambit. He could make a great, he could be Sabretooth if they can't get that guy back. Hell, he could be a good Toad.
Oh, God.
You know what happens to a Tom Hardy when he's struck by lightning?
Same things that happen when he plays Bane in a movie.
It's like anything's better than what garbage Sony is shilling out.
Yeah, honestly, for me, if I was Tom Hardy's agent, all I would do is give him one tip. Project.
It'd also be great.
Tom Hardy, could you speak up so that we can hear you in the mic?
Here's a great one. You know what they could do? Is Tom Hardy, when Sony was like, hey, Tom Hardy, do you want to be in Venom? He could have said, no, I don't want to be in Venom. But I'll tell you what, I'll be the bad guy in whatever fucking James Bond movie you have next. I'll fight a white guy as James Bond or a black guy as James Bond. I don't care. I'll be the bad guy. I'll throw the hat.
Yeah, let me be hat guy.
Let me be the guy with the metal teeth. I'll do that instead of a fucking
Actually, you know what? That's a great idea, Alec. He should be the guy with the metal fucking teeth.
And instead of being a Spider-Man somewhat spin-off movie.
Yeah,
it's like, this is the story of Venom in San Francisco, on the complete other side of the country from any spider-related superhero.
Let me ask you, do you think that they can resist showing Spider-Man somewhere in Venom? I know that it's supposed
No. They won't show him. I can tell you, they won't show him and they won't say Spider-Man, but someone will go, you remind me of that that superhero that wears red and blue and climbs on walls.
He's like some sort of arachnid.
It's like that. Did you hear the story in New York? There's some kid that climbs on walls and swings around, where it's like we, the audience, know it's Spider-Man.
You think they'll do the newspaper reveal where they...
No, they won't show Spider-Man. I guarantee you they won't show Spider-Man.
No, but I'm saying, will they show the word Spider-Man on a newspaper?
No, they won't, because Disney is going to make another Spider-Man movie. So Sony will not put it in anything because Disney won't let them. So it's just going to be literally like, it would not surprise me if they, wheel Stan Lee out in that fucking wheelchair and he's like, Excelsior, I heard of a kid who climbs walls in New York.
What, have you guys never seen a giant spider before?
I wish Spider-Man saved me when those guys came to my house and beat me up.
I based Spider-Man.
By the way, that happened this year. And some guys tried to get money out of Stan Lee.
I saw that Stan Lee was also part of some kind of drama where people were saying like Stan Lee has bed sores and he's not being.
Yeah, he's allegedly Stan Lee is like his daughter is like a terrible person, and so allegedly there's lots of signs that he's being abused and she's stealing money from him.
Why would you have to steal it? Couldn't you just wait it out?
You know, she's like, I need that Excelsior money. Though, I mean, honestly, he doesn't have that much money. He doesn't own anything anymore.
I guess that's true, yeah.
Like, there's not like a bunch of money coming to Stan Lee. He doesn't live in some mansion. He lives in a neighborhood in like New York, in like, you know, Albany or something.
I want to see what his net worth is now. Hold on a second. He's worth $50 million.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean crap. That doesn't mean jack. He's worth $50 million, but it's like he's got his name on a bunch of comic books and like a comic book company that no one, you know, that no one reads. That's the thing. Stan Lee's net worth is, you know, that's a tricky one. It's not quite what you would think.
He's worth $50 million, but take off the million.
He's worth 50 million Excelsiors.
I remember when my Spider-Man comic book cost only a nickel.
I remember when my daughter used to not lose all her money and have me attacked by people. I wish Venom was here to save me.
Well, let me ask you, Alec, just to kind of wrap the stream up, if you were to, let's say, if you could pick the amount of time from today when a superhero movie would come out, and you could also pick what superhero it was about, which one would you pick, and how long would you wait until it came out?
Oh, so you're talking about like fantasy draft a superhero movie?
Yeah, I would. You don't have to give me a plot rundown or anything, but I'm just saying, like, if you had to pick a superhero movie that you would want to come out, how far from today would you want it released, and what superhero would it be?
Well, this is going to be a little bit a slight bending the rules here, because I would have this movie come out after we're way done with all this, like superhero stuff. After this fizzles out and years go by.
How many years are you thinking?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 after superheroes stop getting made.
Okay.
Like, pretty much, because you need a clean slate for this one.
All right. Well, what is it? Hit me with it.
The Shadow.
Can you explain what that is?
The Shadow is it's a very old it was comic books and radio dramas.
Okay.
And The Shadow was about this guy. He was like, and honestly, with The Shadow, like a lot of the stuff in The Shadow inspired things in Marvel and DC, you know? Like it inspired things in Batman, it inspired things in, you know, and like you got stuff, pieces of Rorschach go back to The Shadow, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was like the original like Dark Avenger, you know?
I gotcha.
And so the Shadows thing was about this guy, and his power was that he had this mental ability. Like, essentially, it was like some trick of the mind he learned. That's like a mixture of like psychic and hypnosis, where he could make himself invisible to people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking up pictures of him right now. He kind of reminds me of, you know, that movie The Spirit that came out?
Yeah, The Spirit. See, and Shadow predates that too.
Yeah, so they probably were ripping off of it. And I even see this one that says The Shadow and Batman.
Yeah, The Shadow has had a very long history, and it's a cult. It's a series that has survived as a cult classic.
You know who would have been a great Shadow based on these pictures I'm looking at is Sam Elliott.
Yeah,
that would be sick with his voice. Tell me where you're going, there, friend.
But the Shadow is it's a great property that it only had one movie, and that movie just really, didn't get it. Because the thing with the way you have to make the Shadow is you have to make it like set in the 1920s, and it's really, really dark.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing in the storylines of the Shadow, like he's a dark hero. He's got the guns, he kills people. He's all about that kind of like, divine retribution kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like the poetic justice and that kind of thing. So it's a great it's a great hero to use, and you can kind of give him like any villain because the villain can just be a normal criminal.
Yeah, like in a similar vein, I remember telling you that, I thought it would be cool if they made a movie about the Question.
Yeah.
And the Question's kind of similar in a way. He's like a detective without a face. And I'm pretty sure he didn't really have any powers. He just didn't have a face. I think he might have had super strength.
Now, the Question's whole thing was
but he was like Jim Gordon in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, exactly. Actually, the best one is the original Question, because his thing was he was a reporter. Like that was his like alter ego job. And so essentially he would use his connections as a reporter to find out about conspiracies and crimes,
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a great thing because you could have him like unraveling the mystery, as like a normal guy. And so it's like you get to really time when he becomes the Question like super well.
Yeah, and well, also if you get someone with a really great distinct voice, since the Question is supposed to basically have a face that looks either blurred or like he doesn't have one.
Yeah.
See, like in some of the iterations, he has like a nose, but it doesn't have any holes, and he has a kind of a bridge to his eyes, but he doesn't have any eyes in them or sockets.
Yeah. Well, it's like a mask he puts on and then a spray that it's like a chemical adhesive.
Yeah, it's like he sprays on a. Yeah, you're right. So he puts on like a really tight mask and then sprays it. You're right. And I mean, I like that. I like the kind of Rorschach kind of good detective stuff because it'd be a great series, even, and it wouldn't take a lot of special effects. I remember I had said, I think in brief discussion, I thought Jake Gyllenhaal would have been a really good Question.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? That would be the Question would be a great AMC series.
Yeah, I think it would.
Because it's like you don't have to go as dark as like an HBO series would, because you can make it a procedural, like a cop drama, but with like a guy who puts on a mask and works outside the law.
Yeah, and you could also have. I mean, you could also have like big reveals, like he finally shows his face. You know what I mean? And like that's a big reveal at some point or towards the end of the series. He reveals who he is. Or you kind of do it the Superman way, where people see him every day, but when he puts on this mask, nobody knows who he is.
Yeah, and then like the finale is like someone knows who he is.
Yeah, like, and then it leaves you with this debate as to whether maybe he has to put an end to them so to keep his secret, because otherwise he can't keep continuing to do good detective work. It's going to blow his cover. You know what I mean? Like, so that's interesting though. So you said the Shadow, and I was just briefly mentioning the Question. I don't know what I would choose necessarily. I know I definitely wouldn't want to do one that already exists. Not right now. That's the hard part.
Yeah, finding one that don't exist already.
Well, one that like the comic book could exist. Like if they did one like about the Sentry. Or what's the one? Is it the Spectre, the guy who wears like the green cape and white gloves and cloak?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like the Spectre's kind of cool. That could be interesting. Uh, the Sentry's neat. If I'm not mistaken, what it is that the Sentry's about a guy who obtains powers by, like, he drinks this vial that gives him these powers, but then as he regains his strength and everything, he realizes that his powers are limitless, and he can kind of just do whatever he wants. And
Yeah,
because
but
he wanted
can't
to
handle
retire,
that.
because he wanted to retire and kind of go back to people not having the responsibility and people not knowing who he is or what he does, he used the power to erase his powers and to erase everybody's memory of him.
Yeah. And so it's kind of that thing of like he's getting his powers back, and it's like, is this all preordained?
Yeah, like how many, it's sort of like in the Matrix, and they go like, you're the sixth person who's made it to me. Like you're the sixth one. You're not the one. You're the sixth one that's made it this far.
Yeah.
And it kind of fucks with you because you kind of go, did we just do a whole reset? Or are we going to find out what he did before? Just because he erased people's memories, does that mean he erased what happened? Does he have the power to erase what happened instead of erasing people's memories? And
Yeah.
you have that kind of debate, and I don't know. I'm not sure what I would pick, honestly. But like I said, I wouldn't want to do any of the ones that they've already covered. I wouldn't want to do Iron Man or any of the current Avengers, and I wouldn't want to do any of the DC ones that we've seen. I think maybe like a cool Nightwing would be really nice. Like way down.
Nightwing would be a great one.
Well, a dark one, like a dark version of Nightwing where he kills people. Like,
oh no, then you want Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Okay, so under the Red Hood.
Well, Under the Red Hood is how he becomes Red Hood, but there was actually a DC series called Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about him like trying to be a hero again.
Yeah.
But he's still, kind of fucked up and a little evil.
Well, it's like, what was the one, like there's the cartoon one where like Nightwing has the Joker and he like shoots him right in front of Batman.
No, that's Under the Red Hood, but that's not Nightwing.
Who is that?
That's Jason Todd, who is Red Hood. In the comic books, he becomes the Red Hood, except he's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that whole story is that he gets murdered by the Joker. And so essentially, for various reasons, he gets brought back to life. And he first wants to take revenge. He wants to get Batman to kill the Joker is the whole plan.
Yeah.
Because he wants Batman to avenge him. Because he feels like the Joker murdered me and I was like your surrogate son, but you didn't kill the Joker.
Yeah, like, and if you won't do it when I'm presenting him to you.
Exactly.
Then you both deserve to die.
Exactly.
Yeah, and see, I think that could be great. I think Nightwing is a cool character. He's got a cool outfit. I used to love him in the animated series because he looked like, Batman without a mask, without a owl,
Well, Nightwing is like is the good Batman, He's like the Batman without the crazy parts.
Yeah. But I mean, he's like a badass, and he's really quippy. If I remember right, he's kind of like Spider-Man in that regard. Like he has a lot of one-liners, and he's really smart and intelligent.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really cool. I think that would be a good one to watch and compelling. And you could have a suit that doesn't look too ridiculous. Maybe even keep it pretty grounded in realism. Maybe he just wears like a black button-up suit all the time instead of wearing like a spandex leotard and jumping around with a bat symbol,
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I think that would be the one that I would probably pick. And I would say maybe 10 years from now, if I had to pick a time.
Yeah. Which is kind of ironic because apparently they are doing a TV series with Nightwing.
Are they really?
Yeah. But it's if it comes out, which I still am very like I'll believe it when I see it, but I don't believe it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if it comes out, I don't think it's going to survive because the problem literally is that they're trying to make it like Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Oh, I see.
And because they want to make it like Red Hood and the Outlaws, but they want it to be Nightwing because that name is more recognizable.
Gotcha.
And so it's like it's just kind of funny because it's like we went through it and then it dawned on me a second ago, like, oh wait, they're already making this poor decision in real life.
And it's gonna be a Netflix original.
Yeah, and then people were annoyed because they have Starfire in it.
Oh yeah.
Who in the comics is like Dick Grayson's like love interest.
Yeah.
But the problem is that so they cast they cast this black actress.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing is Starfire is an alien from another planet, so she's orange.
Oh.
You know? She's like a bright orange. And that's kind of the whole point is she's like a vividly bright orange and she's like looks like her hair's on fire. This girl, none of that.
Jeez.
They don't
just a ginger, that's it.
Well, no, it's like she's an alien, so she's got like glowy green eyes and his orange skin.
Jeez, man. Well, we will certainly just have to wait and see. But I will say this: I don't know how long we've been going for. I'm sure it's probably been a couple of hours at least, maybe 3. But thank you all. If you made it this far, you're a true champion. Thank you for listening. Hope we kept you company while you are shitting on the toilet or trying to go to sleep.
Or regretting your decision.
Or just regretting your decision. That's true. I'm David Grayson. This is my best friend and buddy, Alec Brown.
Mm-hmm.
This is just another episode of our Catching Up where we just kind of talk about our weeks and things that we want to chat about. And we might be making another one of these streams soon. I'm not sure what we're going to discuss. I think Alec and I we'll definitely be making some of these streams once I'm back in the States for the holidays. So definitely keep on the lookout. But we'll definitely find a movie or some topic to talk about. Maybe we'll do a predictions video or something. And Alec will hop on and we'll chat about it. So. Well, Alec, I appreciate you coming on again as a guest or co-host, and look forward to the next one.
Look forward to.
All right. Well, I will talk to you all later. Bye from me, Alec.
Yeah.
All right. Love you, buddy. I will catch you all on another time. Latest on the Monday. Keep